Oh, hello, everybody. Boy, I hope my mic works. Yeah, it looks like
Hi,
it's working.
everybody.
Hi, Chris. Yeah.
It looks like it's working. Hi,
Yeah.
Ruel. We
Hi.
were just spending the last little behind the scenes. There's a 10-minute counter, and usually in that time, Ruel and I kind of like chat and chit chat. We get ready for the show. But in this one, both of our mics were off, and we just did not speak to each other. We both were reaching out to each other, and it was like, oh, so now we're excited to be here, and we're excited to be here with you all. Hi, Cosmic Beat.
Hey, Cosmic Beat.
And today we're talking about bag builders in the main show, but right now we have our little pre-show where we just get to hang out, see what has been up to, what you've all been up to, chat, and then I get to find out what Ruel's been up to. So what you been up to, Ruel?
Oh,
Hi, John Tripp. Hi,
uh,
Trizin.
I've been
Uh,
busy as always. What was I gonna say? Oh,
as always.
yeah, this last weekend was a good weekend, but so Michelle, my wife, she's a teacher, so this is the end of her school year, so things get a little
Hmm.
intense around here with, she's got to finish up last minute grading, and of course the students, they all wait till the
Yeah.
last minute to turn in stuff, and she's in the middle of that, so I try to be as supportive as possible. And then next week she's off work, and we've got some well, not grand plans, we got some plans to enjoy the time off together. So this week and next are going to be a little crazy, but I think things are going to slow down a little bit the following week. So that's always good. What about you, Chris? What's up with you?
Nice. Well, I'm glad to hear. I think in the chat, in the comments too, I don't know if you saw that, Ruel. I think they
Oh,
said Truzen and Cosmic Beat are saying you could
ah,
use a little bit of a mic boost.
thank you.
I can hear you fine, but that's because my soul always sings out, crying for your words, and so I'm always just like focused on hearing. I hear your voice when I sleep. That's what I'm trying to say. I hear
Okay.
your voice when I dream.
Oh my goodness.
My conscience used to have a different voice, but now it is the voice of Ruel Gaviola just speaking into my consciousness as I shuffle over. But I'm glad you just have some ordinary average plans and not grand plans. Grand
No
plans are
grand
too
plans yet.
too tiring.
Yeah. I was
um
I wanted to
yeah,
say
for
grand
me, I'm
plans.
in Nova Scotia now.
Oh, that's right.
Oh
Yes.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. I noticed the change in
No, tell
scenery
me about your
behind you.
grand plans.
Yeah. No grand plans.
The change
Well,
in scenery.
yeah, Gen Con later this summer, and I'm still like sort of in that. I need
Right.
to finish my planning for Gen Con because I'm super way behind, and we'll see if it all comes together. Hopefully it does. I mean, it
Right.
usually does. But
S- You're just
no, no.
deciding if you go or not, essentially.
Um,
To
yeah, no, I'm gonna go, but I need to get all my ducks in a row as far as, hey, maybe I should book a flight out there. Maybe I should get a hotel room or an Airbnb. I always do this.
ah, who cares about that? You can figure that out later. I'll
Exactly.
tell
It's
you.
so
Well, because
bad.
I'm in Nova Scotia now. We did the drive the last on the weekend.
Mhm.
So June 1st and 2nd, we drove down. It's about a like 18-hour drive from Toronto. So we had a stopover because I'm here doing a show. If any there are Maritimers, John Tripp says, "What time it is? What time is it? Maritime." I
Maritime.
almost said, "What time it is," because I think that's a line in. We're doing Alice in Wonderland and Twelfth Night. So
Oh,
if you're into the Halifax area, come see me perform theater. It
there
will
you go,
be a fun
folks.
time. I can guarantee it. The cast is going to be good, and the show is good as well. It's a remount of Alice in Wonderland that I did in 2012. That was my first time working with this company, and then we're coming back.
Oh,
So I'm going to be the
cool.
Mad Hatter, which just means I get to
Perfect.
rip the chain off of me and just run rampant,
Fun.
which I'm excited about. And then before that, I was in Kubla Khan for the World Series of Board Gaming. I was running a little event there, and then before
Yeah.
that, I was at Geekway to the West. So
Wow.
it has been a heck of a lot of travel.
Yeah.
Yeah,
How was
yeah,
I've always
yeah.
wanted to go to Geekway to the West. How was that event?
It was great. It was awesome. It was really really well run. I put out a little like recap vlog both on my channel Room and Board and the World Series of Board Gaming's channel. I think it's like at WSBG official or something like that.
Mhm.
The World Series one is just sort of detailing like the event that the World Series event that I was running, and then my own personal one is kind of everything else outside of that, right? Because I had a little bit of spare time to play some games, and it was just like really nice. One thing that I thought was huge. Like I love game playing conventions. It's my favorite type of convention.
Hmm.
It's the best type of convention because you're there to play games. You just play games and that's it, right? You don't get distracted by anything else. Just play games. There are events, and so I like attending a lot of those game playing conventions. But this is the first one that it was a very pretty large space, so there was
Hmm.
a few multiple rooms, but they had access to a PA system, which was
Oh,
huge, which I've never seen at anything. It's like, hey, like
nice.
usually making announcements is so difficult, but they're like, hey, the play to wins, they're finishing up. Um, anyone who's trying to abuse the play to win system, we see you checking things in and out, and you are disqualified. So we're going to give it to people who actually honor the system. Congratulations, we're board gamers. We know math. um, which I thought was really good, just in terms of like that sense of communication, right? I felt that was really present and prevalent, and
Cool.
everybody there was nice, and was a really lovely time. I think if you're in that's in St. Louis, Missouri.
Yeah,
So if you're anywhere close to St. Louis, Missouri, would highly recommend next May checking it out.
nice.
Um,
Yeah, I
and
was
then KublaCon was also a great time as
oh,
well.
cool. Yeah, I have. That's another one I have never been to that I've always wanted to go to. I mean, it's here on my on the west
Mm,
coast, so I mean, I'm like about 7 hours away by drive, but it's like an hour flight.
yeah.
But how was KublaCon? Was that also a World Series of Board Gaming thing?
Yeah, yeah. Also, World Series of Board Gaming. We ran a paid event for that one. You have to pay like
Mhm.
$15, but the winner won like their full stay and play, 4 nights hotel, like four
Wow.
entries into the tournament. And KublaCon was giving away like a $400 flight voucher as well.
Oh,
So we had people like who got knocked out of one round. They're like, oh, the second round, another round starting up. Okay, I'm gonna like buy back in to like
nice.
do their try their luck. So that one was fun. It was also really big. I felt like I didn't see anything that was happening at KublaCon. I felt like the schedule for that one got a little bit shifted in a
Mhm.
way that left me working the whole time. Um,
Oh,
but that was just due to their sort of like space limitations or whatever. I had to kind of like juggle around, and so I didn't get to, I feel, experience the KublaCon full experience as much as I personally would have liked to. To have that like more time off to play games. But it was nice. I met up with some cool people who I know from Room and Board, and we played some games, and they were very tolerant of me having to like stand up and go and talk to people, and then sit back down, which I like hugely appreciate. I'm
yeah.
always so like concerned playing games that like I don't want to ruin the game. We've all had like slow players, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And I don't want to be that player.
Yeah, I think
But
people are normally
yeah,
cool. Like if they know you from the internet and they know that you're working at a con, and they're usually pretty cool about, oh, he has to
yeah,
take off, for a minute to take care of business. And I'm the same way. I always let players know,
yeah,
hey, just to let you know, I'm working for the convention, or I'm gonna make an appearance, so I need to do something, or I may have to slow down the game. I'm sorry, blah blah blah. So they
yeah.
know what they're getting into. As long as you're upfront about it, I think people are usually pretty cool about those type of things.
Yeah, yeah. But both were really great. What KublaCon had that I wish I would have been able to attend, like as an attendee, is somebody who I had met at WSBG. I ran into him, and he was like, "Hey, have you checked out the auction?" I was like, "What is this auction?" So
Oh,
there's like a flea market, but then there's also an auction that's like running for like 8 to 10 hours one day, where they're just like put up a game, and you
oh
raise your
wow,
little paddle, and
yeah.
then you keep bidding, like live bidding auction style on these games. And the guy was like, hey, oh yeah, I saw a Kickstarter copy of Rising Sun. It started at $25. It
What?
finished at $110, which is still a
That's
really incredible deal for that
yeah.
package.
That's so cheap for
Yeah.
that. Oh my gosh. Did you bid
Yeah,
on anything?
yeah.
Did you win
And
anything?
knowing that, I didn't
No.
get to it. I didn't even know
Oh,
it was existing. He told me about it. He ran off to the room. I was like, I would love to go check out that section, but it is far away, far enough away from my section that I just like couldn't go.
yeah. Oh, that's a
So I kind of
bummer.
only got that sort of one experience. I did go into the vendor hall and I bought a game. I
Oh,
bought The Hunger. Have you played The Hunger, Ruel?
I have not. That's the Richard Garfield game, right? That came out a few years ago.
Yeah.
I really wanted to play it because it seemed like his take on Clank, sort of like that deck building push your luck thing. but I haven't played it. How was it? Did you get to play?
Yeah. No, I haven't played it yet, but I'm excited about it. It was $10, and I'd heard about it,
$10. Oh
and
my
I thought it
gosh.
was funny.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, yeah,
We got
and
some major
I think
lag in
it's
our internet connection
we.
here, but I'm like, wow, this is super laggy this
I was
time.
just going to say that. I was
Should we?
really going to say that because I was like, we're talking over each other in some regard,
Yeah,
but we really don't usually.
yeah.
I'm gonna
No,
refresh myself
go
and
ahead.
see if
Yeah.
that
Okay.
fixes it
Okay. Copy
on the
that.
end. So goodbye, chat. Enjoy
Bye,
Ruel for
chat.
the next hour and 49 minutes. I
You're
will
stuck with
never
me,
return.
chat. Chris is out of here. Thank you, friends, for hanging out with us as always. We're so glad you're here. And be sure to subscribe if you'd like to support the channel. You can do that for free using Amazon Prime. And I'm gonna let y'all know. I just got an email literally like about 20 minutes ago from Twitch saying that all these subscriptions are going up in price. So at least here in the U.S., it's going from $4.99 US to $5.99 US. So boo on that, but yay, we still have Amazon Prime for free. So if you want, subscribe
Yeah,
there. Chris is back. How does
I'm
this sound?
I'm back. Hey, I
Okay,
am back. This seems like it's better.
this seems like it's way better, right?
This does seem like it's a
Okay,
lot better.
yeah.
Yeah.
Woo! Oh, now he's gone. He just said forget it. Oh, okay. There.
Honestly, I was ready to refresh myself again, and then I just accidentally hit the enter button.
Okay. Oh, okay. Brilliant. This is brilliant. Okay,
This feels like we can actually have a conversation.
I know.
Because I was like, oh, I guess Rail's not responding. I'll just keep talking, and then your response would come in. I was like, oh, guess I just ran right over him. Hope you enjoyed my monologues, Ruel.
Yeah, thanks, Chris. John Tripp says I'm going to refresh myself, aka going to the bathroom. Yeah, that's what we're gonna call it from now on. If you need to go refresh yourself, folks. We got
Yeah.
a great show today. As Chris mentioned, we're talking about bag builders. This was inspired sort of by our last couple of lists where we did deck building with a board, and Ray was talking about how much she really wanted to talk about a certain game that's a bag builder. I mean, spoiler alert, we all know Quacks of Quedlinburg is going to be on this list, and she really wanted to talk about that. And we didn't let her put it on the deck building list, so we said let's do a bag building list. And sure enough, Ray is super busy these days getting ready for Gen Con. She
Yeah.
can't even be here to talk about Quacks of Quedlinburg, so we'll do it for her, Chris. Today.
Well, it may not even make it on the list if Ray
Yeah.
didn't put it on there.
Too bad,
I
Ray.
don't know. Maybe Ray's the only one who likes it.
Yeah.
Like, I left it off because I thought Ray might have talked about it.
Oh
So,
well, maybe we won't be talking
knows?
about it, folks.
Maybe we won't be talking about it whatsoever.
Yeah. Okay, this feels a lot better. I feel like now we can have a normal conversation. It's like,
It was very stressful. I will tell you.
It was
Internally,
super
I'm
funny
like,
too. I'm like, oh man, in my head, I'm like, this is awful. Like, what are we
Yeah.
gonna do?
yeah, 100%.
Yeah. So going back to what we were talking about earlier. So Geekway to the west, yay,
Yeah.
good time. Kubla Khan. Do you have any other events lined up going into the World Series where qualifiers or anything else that you want to share?
I think there's none that I'm going to be personally attending because I'm here now in the summer for my
Okay.
summer contract for theater, and so I won't be able to leave. So I don't really have any other ones set up, but there are a couple that are running their own. So there's one in Australia, which is cool. There's like
Oh.
an Australian qualifier, and we've got one. I think there might be another one in California, GameCon. They finally kind of confirmed back to me because
Oh, okay.
we also try to like empower stores to be able to run events themselves, and essentially we're like, hey, just run an event and make sure the winner comes to Vegas. Make sure that we have a stay and play and that the ticket prices can go towards that stay and play. Done.
Nice.
Right? Like we want to have a bunch of little small feeder tournaments because we think they're fun. They're fun, like getting people all excited,
Yeah.
etc.
Agreed.
Yeah, people can check out the World Series website for that.
Yeah.
WSBGvegas.com.
There you go, folks.
We've got AG Fox saying, anyone going to Origins? I would have loved to go to Origins, but I am in Halifax, unfortunately. Ruel, have you been to Origins? You've been to Origins.
I haven't. That's one of the cons
Mm.
I've always wanted to go to, and it just with this time of the year, it never really works
Right.
out my schedule. So yeah, it's in like 2 weeks, and unfortunately, I won't be able to do that. But I will be, as we were talking about earlier, I'm going to hopefully make it as a Gen Con. I try to go every year. It's just, I feel like, Chris, every year, I don't know, I procrastinate more. So it's like, oh,
Yeah.
I'll get the flight, I'll get the hotel later. And all of a sudden it's like, oh, it's already June and it's in August. Like, this is bad. This is not how I shouldn't be doing this,
Sometimes you can get deals that way though, but sometimes more than often I feel like with travel, with flights and with hotel a bit, you do end up paying for it, which
Yeah.
is it is a bit annoying
Yeah.
because it's always tough too because you don't know if you want
Uh-oh.
what like I know
Oh,
like
okay.
Orid or like Gen Con. Am I back? Am
You're
I
back.
back?
It
I
was
think
like
I'm back.
it like stopped for a second. I think yeah. Okay. No, you're back
A
now.
glitch.
It
Well,
like it
I
just
am in
glitched
that.
for a second.
I'm in that beautiful Nova Scotian internet.
Oh, that's
That
right. Yeah.
yeah. So
So
well, because I'm out in the country right now.
you get like another hour added, right? So is it 4 o'clock out there for you right now?
It's 4 o'clock for me. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Crazy. I don't know how time works, folks, but that's pretty interesting to me. Foglight says he likes Quacks. He even wins sometimes, which is unheard of. Yeah, I don't. I have a. I mean, I know we're gonna talk about Quacks a little bit. I'm gonna tell you right now, I'm terrible at that game. I love it, but I'm so bad at it.
I'm laughing. I was laughing at your transition line there. Oh, I don't know about time, but it's always been very interesting to me. Ah, yes, the concept of time has always been the most interesting thing. I'm like, oh boy, I can't wait to go to a party with Roel where we can discuss how clocks were created and how the rotation of the sun, or the rotation of the sun, not the rotation of the earth. Well, man, that time thing. It's mad. There's so many other things that but time just fascinating. It's always ticking by, isn't it? It's always ticking by.
Let me tell you the funny thing about that time. It never stops. It continually.
That's one
um,
of the most interesting parts about time, I'll tell you.
this is what
Anyway, that's
happens when our internet connections gets wacky,
yeah.
folks. You get this is the type of conversation you get. AG Fox says, "I'm the main game guy. My group own the games, know all the rules, never wins." Well. I don't know if I own all the games, but I definitely can relate to the knowing the rules and not winning as much as I know the rules. And I think that's. I feel like that's part of being a content creator. You have to know all these rules. It doesn't mean you know how to play the game well. You don't. You know how to play it, right? So.
True. I mean, I'd like to join you on this, but I win pretty much every game I play.
I was
So
gonna say you have
um,
no idea what I'm talking about. How crazy you can't relate to this at all. Oh,
but I just I hope that everybody honestly I do. Okay, this is I hope this doesn't sound arrogant, but I get really concerned about beating other people too badly and like ruining their experience, and it's like a genuine concern of mine, but I don't know how to not like I don't know how to hold back. If it's like a game that I'm good at, I'm like I'm playing my game. Like this is the time I have to play my game. I want to enjoy it and see how much I can optimize. Um, yeah, sometimes I worry. I played Ink and Gold last night. You can't be like good at Ink and Gold.
right,
I just
right.
went on a big run. Like
Yeah.
I went on a big run. Everybody else was I always in Ink and Gold. I just stay. There's no
Oh,
world in which I leave. I just
yeah, yeah.
stay until I'm the last person and then I will leave. Like if someone else is in
Okay.
there, I'm probably in there.
Okay.
Just because I really like pushing my luck.
Yeah, yeah.
But I had a big run, and so I was like introducing it to my girlfriend's like family, and I thought it would be like a surefire hit. Like it's so easy, it's so simple, and then because I had like double everybody's score, I think everyone was like, "Well, Chris won again." I was like, "No, no, this should be accessible where anyone can win." Like I don't know how I won this one. Um,
I want to say
yeah.
so. Anytime someone starts off the sentence or they say, "I don't want this to seem like it sounds arrogant," but I'm like, okay, wait. I mean, it's
Oh, I
like,
know it sounds arrogant.
okay,
I
okay.
mean, it's just a fact of life, though, Ruel. I can't help that I am God's gift to board gaming, right? I think everybody in the World Series should be thankful that I work for the World Series because then they all have a chance, is what I'm
you,
saying. Now,
Chris,
will
you
I
are
ever
the World
play any
Series.
games?
You are the
Thank
World
you.
Series, my friend.
Thank you. I want the rings.
Shardia says, "I coached many people in crushing victories over me." See, I can relate to that. I've done that a few
Yeah.
times. But you know what? I don't want to. There's some I don't know. What was I going to say? Now I totally forgot what I was going to say. There's a little false modesty with certain games. I feel like I'm pretty good at certain games. A lot of them,
Yeah.
I mean,
What?
we both play a lot of games, but there are certain games that you're really good at. I feel,
Yeah.
that your strengths are. Um,
What are the games where you will win regardless of who you're playing against, Ruel?
Well,
Like
okay,
who are you gonna crush? What
who
are the
am I
games
gonna
that you're gonna
crush?
just like didn't we do this? Or I think it was just a question. I don't think we actually did a list about this. This could be
Uh,
a fun list.
yeah,
But like the games where you will win.
yeah.
Like
I
maybe it's
have
not a fun list because then it's just everybody bragging about themselves
yeah,
for
let's
like an
just brag
hour.
about ourselves for I feel
I mean
like
it would be fun for me. I love hearing about what people are good at.
yeah, I have a pretty good track record on in Castles of Burgundy. I'm
Mm,
and I'm proud of that because I was terrible at that game for years. And then actually one of our viewers here in chat, Linnaeus Cabal, she said, "Hey, let's play on BGA." And I was like, "Okay, cool." And I sort of learned from her like some of the tricks of the trade, and I'm like, "Oh."
right.
And I got to the point where I was super proud of the fact that I could start. I started winning our games regularly, our two-player games, and then I did a couple of live streams with folks, and I won that. And I feel like now that I've said this, I should probably stop playing just so I can retire undefeated or retire
Yeah,
with a
you
winning
can
record.
serve.
But I love that game. There's just something about Castles that really clicks with my brain. Whereas other
Yeah.
games, like I love Viticulture, probably my all-time favorite worker placement game. I had a really good record of that, and then I don't know, for whatever reason, I just stopped winning. I don't know what happened. I think
Hmm,
people started seeing the way I play, and they started countering that.
right.
So yeah, I don't know. What games are you really good? Like which games? I'm assuming it's
All
seasons
of
for
them.
you. Well,
It's
besides,
it's
okay,
all
yeah,
of them.
all of them.
It's every single one. I can't help it. Uh, no, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Well,
Uh,
I'm half kidding. Uh, I'm gonna say this episode's titled "Chris shows his true colors." He's actually a piece
seriously,
of garbage.
we don't have
He's
Ray
the
to
piece
keep
of
you in check.
garbage. Yeah, exactly.
We
Ray
miss you,
keeps me
Ray.
humble. No, honestly, yeah, okay, seasons I could probably crush
Yeah.
because like I've played, it thousands of times. But but depends who you're playing against. What I really like about seasons actually is that when you get to a certain point, it really does become random. And you can
Okay.
mitigate that randomness, but like you're trying to draw into the strategy of seasons is keep drawing cards.
Hmm.
Anytime you can draw a card, draw a card. And sometimes you roll dice and you just don't ever get the chance to draw a card, and your opponent will get to draw the cards, and then your opponent will win. You know,
Okay. Yeah.
it kind of comes down to that, but I don't mind that because I like that idea.
Yeah.
Uh, I'll have a think, but I want to highlight Foglight, who said I don't have those games where I crush. But then Foglight says I usually win at Lost Cities, usually win Nidavellir, and often Sushi Go. That's about it. That's great though.
Yeah.
You do have the games that you can crush at.
Yep.
Those are your games. Like
Totally.
you are the champ. You're the Lost Cities champ. In my mind, anytime somebody asks me who's the Lost Cities champ, I'm gonna be like Foglight 11. Easy.
Yeah,
Easy
totally.
peasy.
That's what I think too. Foglight's the true champion of Lost Cities. Feldfan, this is interesting. So Feldfan, just the name alone, the username, and Feldfan says I have a 75% win percentage against my wife in most games, but only a 10% win against her in Castles of Burgundy. I think that's hilarious. That's awesome. That is so
That's really
good.
funny.
Again, to be Feldfan and you're always getting crushed in Castle of Burgundy. I think that's perfect. One game that I thought, oh, there's a pug barking. One game that I thought I was really good at was Cascadia until I was at the World Series of Board Game last year, and when I actually played against an eventual champion, I'm like, oh, I just scored over 100 points. I've got this locked down, and I lost by 20. I'm like, what happened here? Like,
Hey, scoring over 100 points is great.
yeah, I
Like in
thought
any
so.
game of Cascadia,
Yeah,
that's awesome. The fact that you only lost to an eventual champion means maybe you're number two.
yeah, yeah.
Well,
That's what
you
I have
might
to
be
say.
number two.
Then I realized, oh, there was actually two people on that table that went to the finals, and I'm like, okay, so maybe I'm number three.
Exactly. Maybe you're number three. Like that's still really good. That's still like that still qualifies you as the game that you can crush as
I
well,
I
right? Like
feel like it. I feel
I
like
also think,
yeah.
yeah.
I want to say that I can play at a world class level. How about that? I'll
Yeah.
take that. Yeah.
Yeah, like in an ordinary game, and I think that's it for like in tournament play. You get people who are in the game who are like, yeah, I'm good at this game, or you
Yeah.
get people who are like, this I'll try it out, and I think both are great.
Yeah.
But I think you can, regardless of if you were to play in a tournament, and regardless of how well you placed, I still think you can hold that title of like this is still my game,
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Like I know that there was somebody who participated in a WSBG like regional qualifier,
Mhm.
and she was like, yeah, I'm like this is my game, and she did quite well in it, and then she lost one game of it, and she was like, oh, I can never play this game again. I really
Oh,
thought this was my game. And I was like, but it is, right? Like
yeah.
you can lose a game and still be the best person to ever play it.
Hmm.
Is it like in my head, that's what that's
Oh,
where I am for a
oh
lot
yeah.
of my plays. When I look at my stats, that may not tell me that, but I don't look at the stats. I just say I'm the best person that's ever played this game, and you can still be that, right?
Who
Which
needs
I
yeah?
think is
Who needs stats when you have anecdotes, right? I'm all about the
exactly.
anecdotes.
Who needs stats when you had that one play of a game where
Yes,
you really just wrecked shop?
killed
I've
it.
only played one game of Darwin's Journey,
Okay.
and I am the best at that game that's ever played. I feel very confident in saying that. I have 100% win rate. I played that at Geekway. And I it just like it, well it did just click with me. I was like, oh, I saw the Matrix as I was
Yeah,
playing
yeah.
it.
That's always a fun
But
feeling when you're playing a
yeah,
game and it just clicks with you. Like especially first
yeah.
time. Like there are certain games I'm like, oh, this totally makes sense right now. That doesn't have. I'll be honest. That happens more rarely these days for me. More than most of the time. It's like, oh, let me try to figure this out, and then by the end, it's like, oh, I should have done that on that turn. Oh
Yeah.
well. Corthane says,
But
so by
even
that thinking,
yeah,
they can lose at a world class level. Yeah, I've been losing at a world class level for years, folks. So
yeah.
welcome to the club.
We've all been playing at world class levels, baby.
Yes.
That's all you need.
People's mocktails. I honestly don't keep tabs of my win loss rate. Also, but yeah, that's what it comes down to. It's all about funsies, and we are being we're having fun here talking our little trash as well. So,
But
um,
I think both can exist.
oh yeah,
Meeples and
absolutely.
mocktails. Like I think that's actually a really great point because I hear that a lot. People are like, I just play for the fun. Like I don't care about my stats whatsoever. I don't
Yep.
check BG stats. I don't know what my win rate percentages actually are. But I will log all of my plays because I like to use that as like a play log, especially like if I forget of a gaming weekend and I wanted like a recap video or something.
Hmm.
But using it as like an actual win percentage, I kind of go like, oh yeah, that's cool. Oh cool. Like I looked at I feel like I win every game of Avalon that I've ever played.
Oh,
But like
okay.
if I look at my but it's a team game, and if I look at
Yeah.
my stats, I'm probably at like 40%. You know what I mean? Like, but like it doesn't
But
matter.
yeah,
I think it doesn't matter. I think like you can play for fun, and that idea of like keeping tabs on that win lose ratio, you can still like playing for fun is also playing like for me, it's always playing to win,
oh
right?
yeah,
Like I
absolutely.
right.
Yeah,
I think that's a weird distinction too that I hear a lot like doing WSPG. People are like, I play for fun. I'm like, I play for fun too,
yeah,
but like I still want to win.
yeah,
And if I don't win, it's still okay. Like it's not a life or death situation. Like if I
yeah,
win, great, I won. If I lose, great, I had fun. Right? Like I think both
yeah.
of those options I think are kind of cool.
I agree 100% with you. It's like we're there. We sit at a table. We agree for this next hour or so. We're going to abide by these rules. And what is the
Mhm.
point? We are trying to win the game. But like you said, it's not a matter of life and death. We are having fun. I'm enjoying the process. But yeah, when it's all said and done, I want to be the one that has the most victory points or whatever and win the
Yeah.
game. Right?
And then when the game's over, you forget about it. You move on because you're going to play another game, and you
Exactly.
will win that next one,
Exactly. And then you'll go join a
guaranteed.
yeah. And then you're going to join a podcast and talk about how much you love winning every single game you've ever played. That's what it's all
Yeah.
about, folks. Yeah, Fog Light,
That's my new podcast. This is a soft launch for the Room and Board podcast called I Always Win, Suckers. Strategy tips from the best, colon, in your face, Dylan, colon, yeah, screw you, Roger, colon, take that, Darla. And it's just a list. I got to go through of everybody who I've ever met, who
I
I've
love
beaten. The podcast, it gets longer and longer every time. The title.
it. That's brilliant.
Hey, Stacy.
Hey,
Oh,
Stacey, everyone else
Stacy,
in the house.
speaking of Avalon, I played Avalon with Stacy at Level Up, and it
Oh,
was a joyous event.
um,
My most honest and trustworthy friend. Thank you. I never lied once in that game, and I will not start now.
nice. Foglight, again, agreed. Foglight. I play for fun, but I always try to win. Yeah, that's all it's all about. As long as you don't get out of control when you're trying to win, it's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
Oh, excuse me.
I have met few people who have like who let the pressure of winning get to them. I've met a couple people for
Oh yeah,
sure,
yeah,
and I was like, oh, I can change your mind in board games. It's just for fun. And then I played like even Catan with them, and they turned into like a very mean and miserable person.
yeah.
And I was like, wow, I do not like you at all. And you are right. I should not have convinced you. I'm so sorry. But even still, I hope I can change you.
Yeah.
Uh, but yeah, generally, I feel like everybody, like so many people, play to win, and then you just play to have fun as
Yeah.
well.
And that's one thing I do want to say I appreciate about the World Series of Board Gaming is that it was competitive, but I never felt, at least the tables that I saw and the tables that I participated in, it was never that over the top, oh my gosh, who is this person that I'm playing with? Now, I heard some things about certain players taking a lot more time than other players, but there was never that like mean spirited, like
Yeah, yeah,
I played in poker tournaments before. Have you ever played poker for money, folks? Like those are like some of the, how do I say this nicely? And it's just a really interesting culture in poker tournaments versus a board game tournament. I mean, you're literally
yeah,
out for blood or money in a poker tournament, and there are no friends when you're playing poker. Yeah, you can be friendly and stuff, but ultimately at the end of the day, you're trying to take so and so's money, and that's a lot different than
yeah.
trying to get more victory points on a cardboard piece of table there.
I guess that is the distinction. Yeah, it's a really good distinction, actually. That it is a heads up. I am taking money out of your pocket
Yeah, that's a
versus like
huge
I am
difference.
denying you a worker placement spot.
Right. Meeples says, Mocktail says, the people who I play heavy Euros with are about the same skill level as me. Thus, most of the time, our scores end up pretty close. That's one thing I noticed too. Like, you have your go-to, opponents, your regular gamers, and I feel like, at least with my gaming group, we all tend to play at a similar level. So it's never like,
Yeah,
oh, so and so is here, we're gonna crush them by 40 points tonight. No, it's always. I feel like everyone's always in a competition for the win. It's never it's never a foregone conclusion, which is nice.
yeah, yeah. I that's always fun too, right? And that's where like you get some of the best competition is when you do have that similar skill levels, when you don't know the win loss ratio,
Yeah,
because it is always back and forth and so tight. Like I really like
yeah.
that.
Stacey Everdell says there's one person in their group that always plays to win, and when I play with them, it is so stressful. Yeah, that's. I don't know if I've come across that with some gaming groups that I've sort of. I mean, this was pre-pandemic. There were certain players, like, you get to know
Yeah,
the regulars, and
yeah.
it's just there's certain players I just won't play games with. I just if I see them, I already know I'm gonna go to another table, or I'll just sort of quietly move away from certain people. I don't want that experience. I'm there to enjoy myself, and I'm there to play win, but I'm there to have fun as well. I'm not gonna sit there and stress out over something that's meant to be fun. So yeah,
Yeah, yeah, I think that's it. I think it's I forget. I got distracted by the chat. I'm gonna read a comment. I
yeah,
prefer
yeah.
Stacy saying I prefer to teach new games, teach the strategy, and then get so excited when new players win. 100%. That's always a
Oh
great
yeah,
a great
yeah,
feeling, right? Like it's you want as a teacher, you want your players, the other players, to win because it means you've effectively taught that game very
yeah,
well.
yeah.
That there weren't barriers, right?
Yeah, we have
Which
a
I
saying
think
in
is
our
also
group, like
huge.
we always have the saying where if someone teaches a game and another player wins, then you're automatically a great teacher, right? Because
Mm,
someone else has
yeah.
won. We say, oh, you're and when I win, like if I teach the game and I win, I'm like, oh, I'm a bad teacher. I'm sorry, but I won. But if
I'm
you
hearing
lose,
what you're saying, Ruel, and I guess I am a horrible teacher.
yeah, that's what I was just gonna say. You must be the worst teacher in the world, Chris.
I really like that flip around. uh,
Risto Pisso says, I'm okay with losing. Really bad winner, though. Like, in your face winner. As long as you're with friends, I mean, I can talk trash to my friends and my brothers and stuff, but with strangers, I try to tone it down a little bit. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know how people will react to some of my trash talking.
Stacy is chanting Avalon, and I do have to say and I've said it. I said it to Stacy, and I'm saying it again now, live on stream. So it's the truth, because I would never lie to you, Stacy. Never. I lied to Stacy a lot in that game, but never
Nice.
about the rules. But never about the rules. But it was one of the best. It was one of the most fun Avalon games I think I'd played in a very very long time. It was like everybody got like so into it. We
Oh,
had one
nice.
person who was absolutely on the side of good, and who just couldn't stop laughing. And so everybody, this was great for me as evil. They were my scapegoat the whole game because I was like, look at them.
Yeah.
They'd be like, I'm good. Everyone would look at them and they'd go, ah, and start laughing. It was just like, oh, it was so funny. Yeah,
I love
Ronnie.
that. That is so cool. Um,
Uh,
yeah. Now I got distracted by chat. Someone was talking about my friend.
that's what we're here for. I just like hanging out with Chad.
So
I'm
you
just
apparently
thrilled
turned
you
friends
all are
against
here.
Stacey Everdale. Wow.
Well, that's the beauty of Avalon, right?
Yeah.
That is the beauty of Avalon, the best social deduction game out there. I
Nice.
stand by it.
Stand by it.
Yeah. Foglight said the only time I really care to make a priority going back is if someone in the group is obnoxious about it. 100%. That is when I like actively try to win. If somebody is like,
Oh.
I'm the best.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, well, because I'm just a natural troll, just like as a person. And so like if you're taking it too seriously, like I'm gonna beat you and it'll be funny.
Yeah.
But I also do like I like to take that as a personal challenge to figure out like why there is so much importance placed upon a game, because I get it. Like I get super stressed when I play games.
Mhm.
Like I'm very stressed anytime I play a game because I desperately want to win, but I'm able to like let it go after the fact pretty often. I'd say 90% of the time.
Mhm.
And so it's also just like for me that's part of sussing out those players who are not fun to play with, but like how can I have fun with those players, you know what I mean? And like
Yeah.
hopefully ease them up a little bit. Remember that it's just board games. We're just here to have fun. We're just here to play a fun game. Like it's the best way to pass the time, but like it's just board games.
It really is. That's a great reminder, folks. I mean, yes, be serious and enjoy yourselves, but remember, and when it's all said and done, it really is just a board game, folks. Foglight says, that being said, if we ever game together in the future, I am really going to try. Yeah, that's what I like to hear.
Yeah, let's do it.
And Stacey, this is along what we're talking about. I mostly just want to play well, but if someone really
100%.
obnoxiously competitive enters the ring, now I want to crush. I feel the same way.
Yeah.
And I'm
100%.
sure everyone else at the table is feeling the same thing, right?
Yeah.
Hey, we're enjoying ourselves playing a game, and someone, we all know that one person is like being way too serious about it and being super, that just paints a big old target on your back, I think, when you act like that. So
for sure.
Yeah.
You catch more flies with honey.
Exactly. Wow. I like that. Bringing in.
And if there's one thing I know, it's catching flies. That's the second half of my podcast. I know you've got a baseball and board game podcast, Raoul. Mine is how to crush your friends, eliminate your enemies, push away your friends, and also 10 great fly catching techniques every episode.
Yeah. We have honey. We have one of those like little strips, the little sticky strips or what. I gotta tell you, okay, I don't know. Should I admit this on camera? Maybe I will.
You should.
Okay.
Absolutely, you should.
Okay, so I have this thing. A friend of mine gave me this a couple of years ago as a gift. Everyone has like fly swatter, right, to take care of flies. He gave me this.
Well, me, I wouldn't hurt a fly, but
Okay, yeah. See, now this is why I'm a little worried about talking about this, because I'll let you know. My friend, as a sort of like a gag gift, gave me a fly. I don't know what they call it, a fly gun. So it's like this. I know, Chris. It sounds terrible. It's a gun, a plastic like Nerf style gun, but you load it with salt, and then you shoot flies with it rather than swat them with a swatter.
Oh,
yeah. So
I mean, like,
yeah. I don't know if I should admit that.
If you get them, you get them.
Yeah. 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 It sounds awful.
Now you can. It's honestly a great way to deal with unwanted house guests too.
Yeah.
That's what I also use honey for. If I want someone to leave, I just start pouring honey on them.
Yes.
It is a bit tenuous, but because it usually is around board games, so I have to be very, very specific with how I pour the honey.
Yeah.
But
and that's what I keep my salt gun around for, is that annoying player at the table. If they get too annoying, then here comes the salt gun, right in your face. That salt gun shooting works, but then you'd have salt over. We don't need to talk about the salt all over my house. Yeah, that's another problem, and that's probably why I don't use the gun, because it creates more mess than it's worth.
To be fair, most of the salt around Ruel's house, it has to deal with like demon summoning rituals gone wrong.
Oh yeah.
So there's all circles of salt that Ruel can jump into.
Yeah.
When the nightmares get too bold, he's got to hop from circle to circle so that they can't like get in his soul. But so to be fair, that is where the salt gun idea did come from,
Yeah.
because his friend was like, "You have so much salt lying around," to which Ruel responded, "Demon, get back!"
Demon get back, that's right. Or I was gonna say I keep away the demons, and I always have a really good tasting food at my disposal.
That's true.
Like nothing like, you know, hanging out.
Oh,
like,
would you like some
pinch of
salt on dinner, honey? You just
Yeah.
scoop it from the floor and
Yeah,
just
there
give it
you
a little
go.
sprinkle.
Nice and tasty. There you go. Yeah, you're safe if you are inside the ring of salt. That's right. That's why I have a bigger ring of salt all around my house. So I am absolutely safe.
Oh, smart. Yeah, you just got to do around the whole house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Chris, we got a list to talk about here. Well, why don't we?
I think we should get into it, because we always talk too long, and we know that Richard's videos are going to be 3 hours long each. He's going to do a full run through for each one of his picks, and he's going to get 4 this time. We only get 3, but that's so we can make a nice top 10.
That's
so
right.
we should probably turn it over to the list. I agree.
Yeah,
but we'll come back in the post show and hang out with you all as well, for sure. And
absolutely.
I still read the chat as it's going, and you'll see the little smirks that happen from me that other people won't know, but you'll know, and it's because I'm reading chat.
There you go, folks. Why don't we send everyone into Battle Royale? Y'all can duke it out for some extra points. I'll press the button right now, and let me get the other stuff getting ready. Chris, if you can call the action, that'd be great while I set up.
I would love to call the action.
Yeah.
I see a bunch of names that I cannot read, for they are too small on my screen. Look at them. They're all milling about. They're hitting each other with sticks. They're shooting each other with salt guns. They're pouring honey all over each other. This is madness. I do not know where these gifs or these animated avatars, they were paying attention to our chat, for they have everything that we've named. One is just sitting in a corner summoning demons in the side, and that's not working because you have to have I think a subscription to get an avatar. The demons are, they're well known for not having Amazon Prime because they run it. We've got, was somebody in Bigand? Is that why AG Fox is so much bigger than everybody else?
Oh
yeah. Hit Andrew Scott. Oh, AG Fox, you just punched. Yeah, there we go. Yolanta JS, thank you for subscribing with Prime.
Oh, thank you.
Absolutely. And we've got the little remnants, Barefoot Bug,
and
who is that? Corthane? I think it's Corthane.
Yeah.
They're in the second battle, but it's Barefoot Bug that takes it. That final jar of honey laced with salt smashed over Corthane's head in a bloody, really bloody finish. I don't know why we promote this violence on this channel, but you know, it's what Rahdo wants. Richard is well known for being very violent and wants to see you all fight for his love. And so that's why we do it. I wish we didn't have to, but that's why we do it.
That's what happens, folks. Thank you for that, Chris.
But Barefoot Bug gets all of Richard's love today. Yes. Congratulations. Your envelope filled with kisses will be in the mail from Richard. This is a Rahdo promise set on his channel. It has to happen.
Oh my goodness. I'm going to do one quick tech check right now. I'm going to check this scene. Yes, this works. Okay, cool.
Perfect.
Okay, back to here. And, let me take off this stuff, which...
Goodbye, sweet avatars. Goodbye, avatars. We never knew you.
We'll come back during the post-show. Folks, if channel raids us, please let them know that we're recording this for YouTube, and we have a post-show where we'll hang out with y'all afterwards. But in the meantime, we're going to do the show, and let me get this here. The top 10 bag building games, according to...
I'm excited.
Rahdo Runs Through channel. Okay. Chris, we're good, right?
I think we're good. I think we're ready to go.
Okay, let's do this, and let me go over here. Of course, I'm saying over here, which you have no idea.
Corthane, we will get to that Royal Ranks maybe in the post show, but we will likely run out of time, so we'll have to punt it down the line.
Yeah.
Thanks, for a Ruel Ranks or a Ray Ranks or a Chris Ranks.
Chris Ranks with
It'll be Ruel. It'll be Ruel.
Oh,
Ruel will rank. We love Ruel ranking.
Thanks, Corthay. Appreciate it. Yeah. We
Yeah.
actually last time during the From the Vault show, I was able to get through all of those. So
Oh, sweet.
yeah,
Amazing.
so we have no queue. Everything's ready to go again. Thank you,
Right.
Corthay. You're on top of the stack, and we're gonna do the intro and then get on with the show, folks. So stick around. Let me go to this scene here. And hello, friends. Welcome. I'm Ruel Gaviola, joined by Chris George. And unfortunately, we're not joined by our third co host, Ray, who is taking some time off to get ready for Gen Con and all the other
Mm-hmm.
cons this season. Chris, how the heck are you, man?
I'm doing fantastic. I am very excited to complete this trilogy.
Yes.
We've had some exciting trilogies in the past. Back to the Future, Spider-Man, the Tobey Maguire version.
Okay.
But
Okay.
no trilogies have ever had the Lord of the Rings. But no trilogies have ever had such esteem as this or The Hobbit. So we'll hope to get on the same level of The Hobbit's
Yes.
esteem, the esteemed trilogy of The Hobbit, and our trilogy of deck builders with a board, and bag builders.
Yeah.
Which I'm excited.
I am too. This is the natural progression of what we've done the last couple of weeks. And I am really excited about this list because there are not as many bag builders as I thought they were, Chris. Like I
Hmm.
just assumed, oh, after the last time we did our deck building with a board, we said, okay, next time we'll do bag builders. I was like, okay, cool. And I went to research. And I'm like, oh, there's games that I thought were bag builders. I didn't actually go. I didn't have anything where I would have to go into a bag and pick something out. No, it was like, oh, what I was thinking of. This was like a dice building game, or I was thinking totally different
Yeah.
games. And then when I finally narrowed it down, like, oh, there's not as many as I thought. And that's what I'm excited about because I know that you and Richard have picked some very different games than me. Well, at least I hope so. We're gonna find
Well,
out.
I know that you picked one of mine
Hmm.
because I got it bumped off of my list.
Okay.
So but I am excited. I think there's something really fun about the tactile nature of bag building. I think that's why I like it so much,
Yeah.
is because like there's it's very sensory, you know. And I think we play board games to have that tactile experience. And I
Yeah.
think making it a bag builder, when it works, like a deck builder, I think has potentially a lot more variety because every card can be its unique thing.
Hmm.
And in a bag builder, every chip can be a unique chip, but then you also have to have probably a reference card for that chip. Uh, and so
Right.
like, why not make it a deck builder then? So,
Yeah.
but yeah, I think it's the tactile nature of these things that make me excited to talk about them and excited to play them and excited to dive back into them when sometimes a deck of cards may not have that similar pull, right?
Yeah.
It creates that presence,
Yeah.
which I think is kind of fun.
That's such a great point. Just that tactile sensation. I mean, I do love that. With some of these games that we're going to talk about today, just reaching in that bag and pulling something out. It's a much different sensation than shuffling a deck of cards, drawing
Hmm.
five, and doing that. So
Yeah.
great point. We're going to kick it off right now, folks. Actually, a little different this time. We're going to let Richard take things away, and then we'll go from there. All right, Richard, what do you got?
All right, this is fun. I'm kicking it off for once. Let's get going with our combined number 10 on the list, Meeples and Monsters, which is a very, very cool bag builder. And, over the last few years, there's been a huge explosion in interest in the idea of deck building games combined with worker placement games. And how can you do that? Because this is a bag, they're just all glommed into one here because you've got a bag full of meeples in this game. Very cool looking meeples as well. They're all silk screened with lots of cool little adventurer designs on them. And what you do is you reach in the bag, you pull out, and you find out what workers am I going to have for this particular round. And of course, over the game, you are going to get different types of characters, different types of villagers that are going to help you protect the city and all of that. And also, the bag over time starts getting filled with blank meeples, and those represent corruption that just clog you up, like a traditional deck builder, but here in bag building form. I just think it's really, really cool, this idea of the bag building informing the worker placement of the game, because, hey, I need to do this right now, but the bag didn't give me what I wanted, but I'm responsible for that bag. It's got its stuff because I put it in there, and I think it is a really, really great example of the form. And it is our number 10, Meeples and Monsters.
Wow, I'm glad that Richard put this on this list. I totally forgot about this game, and I really enjoyed this when it came out a couple of years ago. I actually did a Kickstarter video for it. I don't know why it didn't take off because this has got two of my favorite things: bag building and worker placement.
Yeah.
And for whatever reason, it just didn't take off. I don't know why. I will be honest. I played it for the Kickstarter video. I played a couple, maybe like once or twice afterwards, and just sort of forgot about it. And then when it came out, I think in retail, I don't know why it didn't stick around. Maybe it was just maybe convoluted a little bit with the choice of mechanisms. I don't know. I would like to revisit this game though, Chris. I mean, Meeples and Monsters. It's super. I mean, it was really good when I played it.
Yeah, I remember thinking it looked really cool. Like I remember when it was on Kickstarter, when it was on crowdfunding.
Mm-hmm.
And again, this was one that I think I wanted to play. I haven't played this one, but so in terms of when you pull stuff out of the bag and like where it goes, now your recollection may be foggy since it was a few years ago, Ruel.
Yeah.
So if it is, that's completely fine. But in terms of the spots on the board, like what are some of the exciting spaces that you can go to in terms of that worker placement aspect? What was there anything about the worker placement that jumped out
You know,
to
it,
you?
it's funny now that you say that. Maybe perhaps now I'm thinking maybe that's why it didn't take off as much because at
Mm,
the time I remember I thought it was really unique the bag building element, but then the worker placement stuff it seemed pretty straightforward. Go here, get
mm,
some resources. Go here, convert resources to other things. Go here. I don't know if there
right.
was a combat element. I don't think there was a combat element. It was basically
Yeah.
sending all the meeples out there to do stuff. So maybe that was part of the thing why it didn't really stick around or be as highly regarded as I thought it would be. But I mean,
Yeah.
it was a good game. Maybe not. Obviously, maybe not the number one bag builder of all time. So
Yeah, but I
yeah,
mean, I think it still looks cool, and I
yeah,
think the draw again is that sort of like tactile feel with the
yeah,
different screen printed meeples were friggin' really neat. It's
yeah,
one that I like I actively want to try. I think you need those worker like you need the standard worker placement spots too. I always
yeah.
find like I try to focus on what's unique about a game. I think we all do
Yep,
because we all have a lot of like a large collection, but you still need those, you still need the basics, you still need the building blocks that
yeah,
form up to that like unique twist. I think the unique twist here is just that it's the art and the actual meeples and
yeah,
the differences there
yeah.
maybe.
Yeah, great point. Great point. Okay, that's number 10. Thank you, Richard. Let's turn things over to us now, Chris. You are going to do number 9.
All right, number 9. I am going to talk longer than Richard. I also wanted Richard to go on more so that I could tease him for going on too long and feel better for when I talk too much. But
Yeah.
alas, here we are. My number 9 almost didn't make it on the list, but it did. Uh, in it, and I am actively excited to play this game again. I will not until I get the better upgraded tokens that
Oh,
Command decided to put into Wave 2 inexplicably in their Kickstarter campaign,
okay.
and then proceeded to, not deliver that for still now. But when it comes, I am actively excited to play this game again. And this is Trudvang Legends. I think the video you have is probably my unboxing. That's the
Let's
link.
see.
That's oh
Oh, is
no,
that
there
the
you
one?
go. That's perfect.
Oh,
No,
okay.
no, that's a better link than
Oh,
the one that I had sent in. So
okay,
that's
cool.
perfect. Because this shows a lot more stuff about the board. A few things really drew me in about this game, and there's a few things that I quite like. I really like the combat system. I like that it is just a light-hearted romp through an adventure land. There's a light campaign that's happening in terms of the progression of the story and how you go through, but it's not really a standard campaign game. It'll be like a branching paths of scenarios you can choose, and the campaign or the legacy element deals with the locations that you slot into the board. So there's all these different locations which will stay from sort of round to round depending upon what has happened. But you sort of reset your own bag in between the campaigns, and I think a few people were disappointed about that because you're building up your bag, you're building up your bag. You want to keep that build as you progress through this campaign, but you sort of reset it and then you grow it over each time. You do also get to level up your character. Everybody's going to choose a class. It's sort of a standard dungeon crawling esque theme in which you'll have, mage classes or barbarians. They're called spell weavers or whatever. But and you go on through like a little narrative choose your own adventure. You'll go to a spot, you'll interact with that spot, you'll see what happens, you'll make a choice, and all the while you'll have to use your bag to fight monsters or deal with stat check resolutions, essentially. So it's like, hey, that person's running out of the castle, do you want to attempt to stop them, or using your might? Sure, well, draw from your bag and see if you draw like enough strength tokens or whatever. That was in the first mission. So I played this with my buddy Zach. I actually won a contest of this before I was a content creator. This was
Oh,
before that there was a contest on Kaman's Facebook page, and it was create a name for your friend and
uh-huh.
create a story, like a backstory about who they are. And so, like, I took a deep dive into the lore of Trudvang, where like I looked up what every race was in there. I looked up every background. I think I made like five or six different. Like I wanted to hit one of there's like nine different races, so I wanted to hit like one of each race and like apply my friends into there. And create like new names, but so I won, and so my buddy Zach, who's actually been frequently on the Ruined Board channel, I made a dwarf character called Zvokarnir. His last name is Groombridge, so I made it Zvokarnir, Bridge Master of the Great Chasm. Because in Trudvangian lore, when the dwarves, like all the female dwarves, are down in like subterranean levels, and then when you're born, you make like the journey up from the inner of the mountain, and then you cross this bridge, and then you meet your clan. Like you get named and you go into your clan, and that's how you get like your last name. And so I made for Zvokarnir. I thought what would be cool is if there was one like guardian troll who like just protects that way into the deep, right? And so he's the person who stands at the ready in front of like making sure nobody can pass, making sure that like all the female dwarves and the babies are protected. And like so he just took up residence on the bridge and didn't like finish his journey. And then in the lore that I created, he's only like left his post 3 times, and like no one's ever been able to like get past him because he's just
Oh,
such like a hulking warrior.
yeah.
Anyway, apparently the part of so I won a copy of the game,
Yeah.
and then I pledged for there's an additional dwarven like expansion. I think Zvokarnir should have been in the base game, but he might be in the expansion, whatever.
Mhm.
I don't know. Apparently, there's an NPC somewhere, Zvokarnir, which is what
Yeah.
I created, and it got into the game, and like I won a pledge, and then I also upgraded with upgraded tokens. And the one thing I will say about this is that the tokens that are in the base game are not good. They're
Oh.
flimsy cardboard and they're not satisfying to pull. And I
Mhm.
was like, I have these upgraded tokens because I knew from playing other games like Quacks or whatever
Mhm.
that the upgraded tokens are always so satisfying with this tactile experience. I was like, okay, I'm going to splurge. I'm going to spend the $15 or whatever and get those extra tokens as well. Uh, and I just think it was just such a ridiculous idea that Come On wouldn't at least push those out
Yeah.
in the first wave, because there's a wave of the base game, and then there's a wave to like develop the stretch goals and whatever. Anyway, this game gets panned. I've talked too much. I've talked too much. Who am
No,
I,
no,
Richard?
I'm
Um,
fascinated by this because I've not played this game, so this is all
yeah.
giving great information. I also think it's perfect that you won a contest, given that you're a storyteller to begin with, and so you told this great story, right, of this character. So I want to go seek out this character now, Chris. Like I think it's awesome.
Like I took a deep dive into the
Yeah,
lore.
it sounds
Um,
like it.
I'll you know what I should do? I'll find the other stories, the other passages of the other names of
Okay,
people that I made, because I was
yeah.
also really proud of all of them, and I'll comment on this video with them. I'll like
Oh yeah,
when this is aired on YouTube.
yes.
I'll go and I'll post all them in the comments. So if you don't see it there, it'll be coming, because I'm really proud of all the other ones. So I'll go back in time to find that Come On Facebook post,
That's
and
great.
I'll get the sections, and because they're all different. Yeah, I really like the one that I did for my friend Brandon too.
That's
But I'm
fantastic.
not going to talk about it now. Yeah, this game got a lot of kind of slack or a bit of hate,
Well,
because it was a really slow process. It funded in 2019. It is 2024 right now, and it still hasn't fully delivered.
oh my
Um,
goodness. Whoa.
right?
Okay.
Because they're
Okay.
they're just getting the second wave, which is all of the other expansions and the stretch goals coming out to people now. They're
Okay.
like it, and it was one that they were like, listen, we don't like where this game is at. We're going to take another whole year and redo it and
Okay.
redevelop it and redesign it. And I like that they did that,
Yeah.
because I think that's important for a company to recognize this isn't what we want to do. We're not going to produce something that's not good. But I also think that kind of set expectations a little bit higher. I think the bag not developing in between campaigns is a bit of a miss and is a bit disappointing. But I personally quite enjoy and am excited to dive back into it, because if you approach it being like a light narrative text, choose your own adventure style game where you can draw out the tokens to see what spells you can activate. Essentially, you're pushing your luck too a little. You can keep drawing to activate more spells, but if you run out of spaces, if you can't place them, then your turn fails. So I
Mm,
think that's a fun little element. But I
yeah.
also think you can see in the design them feeling hamstrung to things like the bag building. I think the bag building was a little bit more prevalent in a previous iteration, and I think they might have scrapped it entirely if they hadn't sold the like $15 upgraded tokens already. You know what I mean? And they're like, well, this has to be in the game because we've already sold elements to it in their like sort of redesigned scrappage.
Yeah.
So I think it's a really interesting game that I have followed since its development, right?
Right.
Like way back when, like I got really into the world, I got really into the journey and the process, and I've seen the changes that they've made along the way, and I've played it. So I'm happy that it's on this list as an inclusion, because I think a lot of people dislike it, but I think if you go in knowing it's kind of like a lighthearted, the decision space isn't that heavy,
Mhm.
and you're just moving some figures around the map. It might be a little bit too expensive for what it is because it's
Mhm.
come on, so it has all the figures and whatever. But I still think it's kind of fun and
Yeah.
worth trying out if like your friend has it, or you see it somewhere. So that's
Yeah.
our number 9, and I can never talk about length ever again, and I will not talk this long about anyone else's choices. But I got excited about my stories, and I'm still very excited. But I'm going to shut up now, and we're going to move on to number 8.
No, I love it. And just one final thing, just to put a cap on this. So the hate that people were directing towards this game, was it the game itself or just the process of, hey, it's over 5 years now. Like,
I think
where's my
both.
game?
I
You
think
know?
I think I've watched a few other reviews of it too, and people have come to the conclusion that like it's fine, and I think it is fine.
Okay.
I think it's fine. Like if I had to rate it right now, it would be like a 3.5 out of 5
Okay.
objectively. You know what I
Okay.
mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like it's good. It is a good game
Yeah.
for some people, and I think people were expecting something differently, and I also don't think it managed to capture the sort of like narrative breadth and scope that it was maybe seeking for in 2019 in the boom of campaign games.
Yeah.
But also, I think that might be why I like it more and am more likely to return to it now, knowing that it's really just a scenario based game where
Mm,
you have branching scenarios instead of an actual campaign game where like you're not going to develop your character that much.
right.
But I'm okay with that because it makes it more manageable and puts less pressure for me to get it to the table.
Okay.
So
That's
that's
fair.
what I would say.
Yeah, and that's what's got me intrigued. Not well. First of all, I'm intrigued because I see how passionate you are about it. I mean, you did your deep dive in the lore. I think that's awesome. You don't hear about that about any other game, or you don't hear that
Yeah.
very often. But also, just taking that bag building element and adding it to a narrative game, I think that's very unique and very clever. We're talking about, hey, what does make this game unique? That's definitely unique in this case, right? So. I'm
Yeah.
looking forward to try it someday, Chris, or maybe one day I could just listen to you talk about it for like another hour or so.
There we go.
But great choice. Thank you for that. Let's move
Yeah.
on to our number 8, which is going to be my call. This is not a narrative game, but it does have bag building. It's a game. Actually, our number 10 game was from AEG, Meeples and Monsters. Our number 8 is as well. This is a game called, excuse me, Warchest. This is an
Mm.
abstract game at its heart. And what you're doing is you have a bag of these little tokens, and they're like Splendor style tokens. That's our friend Becca Scott over there back in the day on Geek and Sundry. You have a bag, and these Splendor like tokens are your warriors that you send out into battle. And as you do that, you draw 3 per round. I think it's 3 per round. And what you're doing is just place them on the board. Let me see. Okay, there's the board there. Each one is a different type of fighter. So you have your knights, you have your swordsmen, you have your archers, and so forth. And depending on what you lay down and where you lay it down, it's going to do a different ability. So it's going to trigger an ability, and it also adds a little area control to the game. Because ultimately what you want to do is capture, I think it's 6 different locations on board, at least in the 4-player game. And then if you do that, it's ultimate. You just win right there. So it's very abstract, but I like to think of it, there's a little storytelling element to it where, you know, you could talk about your archers going here, your cavalry, the fighter or the swordsman, not swordsman, lancers. You know, the lancers have to go in a straight line, right, as lancers do. Archers, they have range, right, so you can, attack figures that aren't adjacent to you, and so forth. So I love this game. I think it's, I don't know what it is. I feel like I haven't played as much as I want to, or I've wanted to, because I don't know. It played decently at 2. I shouldn't say it didn't play decently at 2. It did play at 2, but I definitely like the 4-player and the 3-player experience for this game. It was just a lot of fun going back and forth, and the turns go by so quickly because you're just drawing 3 tokens out of your bag and playing one and then play another and so forth. And one of the tokens, or one of the things you can do are buy different tokens, and each token, there are different factions of different units. So I should have mentioned this at the start. So everyone's going to start with 4 different ones in their bag. Right, so you're going to take 4 different units, and there are 16 units in the game, so they're not all going to be the same. They're all going to fight differently. Actually, Chris, the more I think about it, the more I'm talking about this game, it gives me a little bit of a feel of a Knizia game, where the tiles, you know, they're tile lane, sort of like Samurai, I guess, where you're trying to gain control of one little area. But in this case, rather than having numbers, you're actually trying to, fight your opponents and take them out, take those tiles or those tokens out of there. So Warchest, it's, for an abstract game, I never thought I'd say this about an abstract game, but it plays really well at 4. You know, in my mind, abstract games are usually like 2-player.
Yeah, 2-player.
Yeah, right.
And I'd heard that Warchest was good at 2, but I hadn't heard it good at 4. But you like it at 4.
I think that's what really surprised me. As I'm talking it out here, 2 players. It was good at 2 players, but I really had a fun time with my 4-player experience, which I didn't expect, and I think that's why it resonates with me. Having said that, I have not played this game in a while, and I have both 2 of the expansions sitting here unwrapped, and I need to play them because they add more characters. And this just looks so much fun, right? You have your bags, you have your little tokens. They have that splendor style weight. It's very satisfying. Again, going into the bag, pulling out that very tactile experience, and you battle on, and hopefully you'll be the one remaining at the end. And that's why it's our number 8, Warchest.
Nice. Yeah, great pick. I've heard good things. I want to try it. Excited that you put it on the list.
Yeah. It's, again, as I'm talking this out, I do remember a 2-player game I had with was it Michelle, or no, it could have been with my buddy Daryl, and it was a pretty good time. I shouldn't say the 4 players the best, because I was thinking about that. Now I'm thinking about the specific 2 game I had with my buddy Daryl. But the way we play games, we're at each other's throats anyways. So it could have been maybe we're just hanging out one day and talking trash. I don't know. It was either that or Warchest. Who knows, folks? Anyways, that's our number 8. Let's go to Richard with our number 7. Take it away, Richard.
Okay, some interesting choices. Chris, Trudvang. That's a great use for bag building. Basically, combat resolution. Replacing dice to see what happens with a bag full of chits and building them up. I really like that a lot. Although not necessarily here. I think there is a much better example of this in the industry that you could have called out instead. And in fact, folks, don't forget, after this is over, in the post show, we're going to be talking about other ones. At least I'm going to. I've got a full top 10 bag builders, and you're only going to hear about my top 4 today. I've got 6 more, and so you'll want to stick around, or you can just jump right down to the extended edition of the show. There's links for it down in the show notes. But anyway, what else? Oh, well, Warchest. Yeah, totally not my cup of tea, but I have always heard that this thing is absolutely brilliant. Bag building, integrated into chess effectively, kind of, sort of, seems very, very neat, but totally not my cup of tea or bag of tea. But anyway, let's move on then to our combined, number 7 on the list. Yes, that's right. It is automobiles, which I think is actually very appropriate to have on the list because last R&R we did deck builders with boards, and Chris, of course, put trains on the list. And this is kind of a sister product because at one point AEG did this kind of fun little gimmick, 3 games, trains, planes, and automobiles. And it just so happens trains was a deck builder and automobiles was a bag builder. And this is a game that replicates using a bag full of cubes that you build up over the course of the game and put different colored cubes in that represent different elements of your high performance racing car. And every round, you're going to pull stuff out and decide how to spend those cubes to keep zipping forward, trying to get on the inside lane or draft behind your opponent's cars or all of that. And as you can see right there, the cubes you draw lets you plot out the path you're going to drive on the racetrack. And it's really cool. And what's even cooler is every time you play, there's always the same set of colored cubes. You start with some baby cubes in your bag, but you're going to put more of them over time, and then you're hoping to draw them. But there's also a set of cards that every time you play, the red cubes and the blue cubes and all of that are going to represent different functions of the car. So there's so much replayability. It's a really, really clever system. And I liked it quite a bit. Now, this game idea ultimately got revisited a few years later in a spin-off called Cubitos, which I love, and it turned the cubes into actual dice, although it dropped the bag and had a different way of manipulating the dice instead of the cubes. So, still, one of the greatest bag builders of all time, if you've never tried it, folks. And if you like automobile racing games, you owe it to yourself. This is probably my favorite one I have ever played in my entire board gaming career. It's really, really good from designer David Short. Just a really rock-solid design and showing just how fun and special bag building can be. Number 7 on the list is automobiles.
Okay, so automobiles. I have a really interesting history with this game. I tried this many years ago. Yeah, when it came out, Chris, and this was actually before I tried trains. I love trains. You and I are both huge fans of trains. And funny that this is yet another AEG game. They must have seen bag building as something to do back in the day. But automobiles, I got it to the table, or a friend had it, and I was playing it, and I realized, oh my gosh, my color blindness is brutal for this game. I was getting cubes, and I was throwing out those. Oh, the brown cubes looks like this one, and I was just so off my game. I literally had to stop. It was one of the few times I had to stop and say, I can't play this game. I just, unless y'all want to show me what colors. I didn't want to slow down the game anymore.
Yeah.
It was such a bummer because I remember it being clever. And I like racing games. And I was like, okay, this will probably be my jam, but nah, it was not. Now, having said that, looking back, I could have probably gotten a copy of the game and fixed it for my colorblind issues. In that case, what I would do is take like a white pen and like a white marker, and I could mark certain cubes. Like, hey, the brown ones have 1 dot or 1 pip. All the red ones have 2 pips and stuff like that. I've done it for other games before, but I was so bummed about that because I really want to like this game. But
yeah, you just have to modify it yourself, essentially, is what it comes down to.
Yeah, it was such a bummer. And it's funny because automobiles then came up a little later, just recently, a couple of years ago. I felt like it was re-implemented, I don't know, purposely or not, by Cubitos. That's a John D. Clare game. Got a very similar thing. It doesn't have a bag, though. You use a dice, and I'm going to let y'all know, spoiler alert, Cubitos was going to be top of my list here, but then I realized there's no bag. They're like, you're...
well, I would have allowed it.
Really? Okay, if you would allow
Richard, probably not.
Right?
Probably not.
Yeah, it's
Richard
his channel. So, but yeah, those are my, because I love Cubitos like a ton. But it really, I don't think it's a true bag builder. It has some elements to it, but because it's not randomly chosen out of your bag, that's why I couldn't do it. But anyways, that's my long story about automobiles and Cubitos and whatnot.
For colorblind, because I know in automobiles they have the white and then the lighter gray and the darker gray and the black. Like that was okay. It was more the brown and the red and the other yellow, like the colored cubes themselves.
No, the light gray and the black were they're all pretty tough.
Tough.
Yeah, I just really remember the brown and red for whatever reason, super close for me. So that was such a bummer. I really wanted to like that game.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I've heard Cubitos. I haven't played Cubitos. Automobiles is on Board Game Arena. I don't
Oh,
know if that would be more accessible or not. If there would be a
yeah,
way of hovering over
it
each
could
cube,
be.
and it might say, then you might be
Yeah.
able to try it out and see if you want to like
I
feel.
I may have to do that because some of the games on BGA are colorblind accessible, and either they'll like you could click on a button and they'll physically, or it'll show on digitally like a little icon on certain cards, or like you said, you just hover over and it'll say green or blue or whatever. So I'm
Yeah.
gonna have to check that out because I want to give that just seeing Richard talk about it, I'm like, okay, I need to give this game another shot. So yeah, automobiles. Okay.
There you go.
Moving right along. That
Let's
was
do it.
number 7. Let's go to number 6. So back to you, Chris.
Okay, yeah, number 6 is I think. Oh yeah, no, I know what it is. It's Orleans,
All
uh,
right. Nice.
or Orleans if you're nasty. Um, either way, I called it Orleans for the friggin' ages,
I
and
did too.
then I started calling it Orleans because
Orleans.
everybody else did,
Yeah.
and I felt shamed about it. Um, Orleans is this game. This game is one of those games where, well, I'll describe what it is for those of you who don't know. You're developing a trade network essentially across Orleans. Let's say probably that a map. It doesn't matter where. Uh, and every there are like 5 or 6 different workers or different types of people, and you pull them out of your bag and you arrange them on your own player board. And once that space is full, each space requires a certain number of workers to sort of fill up. You then can get another worker and do a thing. And so you're always getting workers and you're always doing things such as moving yourself around the map, or increasing the number of people you can draw from, or increasing the number of coins that you get for getting these new people. Everything always gives you a bonus, but the main fun part about this game is really creating a huge amount of diversity in your bag, and how you arrange them and the choices you make on, okay, do I want to develop more of my engine, or do I want to expand and start trying to get points in this way? There's a number of different ways to get points. It's a big old point mash salad, and it's one of those games where I played the first time I played it. I thought, you know what? I've cracked the case. I've solved it. I have the optimal combination of actions, and I don't ever need to play this ever again. And then I played it with my parents a bunch over pandemic. They really got into it. They actually bought themselves a copy, and they would set up a little their iPad over the board so that I could see like the board and the routes, and then I would just tell them. I would have my copy out and I'd match it, and I'd tell them like where I moved and like which tokens I took. And so I'd be developing my own bag at home, and they would be developing their 2 bags in person. They just remove stuff from the board once I took my moves and moved me around. And it actually worked really well for remote play when we had 2 copies of the game, because they were able to automate like on their side, but I still got the tactile experience of drawing things out. And so with them, they're not like super heavy gamers as well, but they really liked it and took to it.
Mhm.
And so I was like, okay, well, I'm going to try a different strategy every single time. I'm not going to buy a building that I ever bought before. I'm going to buy something else, and every single time my score went up. So my idea of like I've solved it. I've perfected this game, which I think it does give you that feel. I think we focus so much on like modularity in board gaming, and because you have a fixed map with like fixed actions and like fixed cost, there is that potential of like, okay, what do I do? What buildings do I get this time? Right? There must be one that's better than others. And so it was actually a really exciting discovery for me to play this game, 5 or 6 times with my folks, and do a new strategy every time and buy new buildings every time, and see that score continue to like increase and go up, and realize, oh, okay, maybe there isn't one set strategy. Maybe this board game is designed with replayability in mind. So that was really fun. I think it's a really solid game. It's kind of a no brainer, honestly, for
Yeah.
me. I knew it would be on this list. I'm just happy that I get to talk about it.
Yeah.
It's kind of the one of the go to bag builders in my opinion, and it does have such a lovely flow to it that I'm glad I got to talk about it and put it as my number.
Yeah. I assume there's a couple of games that were going to be on this list. I assume they were going to be on, and this was one of them. Just to change the subjects a little bit, have you played I think it's a roll and write called Joan of Arc? Is that what was this Joan of Arc was based on? Was Orleans?
You know what? I haven't, and so I cannot add anything else to this conversation. But I'm going to say yes, it is exactly that. Roel, you got it right.
I'm gonna look it up right now because it's bugging me because I think there was a roll and write. Yeah, a Joan of Arc, Orleans, draw and write. So I'm curious about that because that plays.
Oh yeah.
Right?
Yeah, it was a draw and write thing. I am remembering something along those lines. Yeah, it's like any roll and write. There's gonna be a similar twist.
Yeah,
but with the same feel of mechanics, right? I think.
Yeah, that's what I figured. Okay, well, that has nothing to do with back building, but I just wanted to. It was in my head. I was like, there was a draw and write or roll and write. So I'm glad to know that I thought the right game. Anyways, Orleans, great choice, Chris. I'm glad it's on this list. I mean, we all knew it was going to be. I wonder. It's
a great game. It's
fun.
Fun.
I was wondering if Richard if he had his personal choice, if it would be like higher on his list. I feel like this is his type of game, Orleans, but I don't know. We'll see. Maybe he'll comment it coming up.
Yeah.
Okay, let's move on to number 5. Thank you, Chris. Is number 5 mine? Number 5 is mine. This came out a couple of years ago. I want to say 3 years ago, and it was one of my favorite games of the year from one of my favorite designers, Scott Alms. It is a solo game called Warp's Edge, and y'all know me. I love my solo games, and this one is fantastic. It is a bag builder through and through. You are going through this warp, this little space warp, where you're trying to take care of the mothership, right? As you can see there, your ship has different parts. You have a different hull and whatnot, and this is the end of the video. Let me go back. In this game, you're building your ship, and you're hoping to have enough shields, have enough lasers or pew-pew weapons, right, in order to take down the mothership. And what's cool is it's super replayable because there's a couple of different motherships. There's a couple of different player ships, and they all have different abilities and characteristics. And what's neat is it's sort of got this race element to it because you only have, I think it's 6 or 7 warps, so it's basically rounds that you can go through in order to kill off the mothership. And of course, you can't just kill off the mothership, you've got to go through the entire fleet of other ships. So they send out other ships to take them down first, and hopefully you're building up your defenses and also your weapons to the point where you can take down that mothership. What really caught me off guard though about this game, and it was really neat, was a narrative element to it, where they gave you this narrative book. It was actually written by Banana Chan, who she is well-renowned in the RPG space. She does a lot of writing. I love her stuff. And in this game, you give this like little background story and almost like hey, here's what this is all about. This is why your ship is out there and why you're pew-pewing with this bag builder. But the game, it flows so smoothly. It's terrific. And I know solo games aren't for everyone, but this one is fantastic, folks. I highly recommend it. That's why it's our number 5, Warp's Edge.
I figured this would be on your list. I've never played it because I'm not really a solo gamer, but I know you are, and I know that this is well regarded. And it really, it looks cool. It's a cool theme.
Yeah. I mean, I do love the sci-fi theme, and I just love the fact that everything just made sense in this game, right? It's like, I need to have better weapons so I can fight off all these ships. Yes, right. In order to get that, I need to take out certain chips out of my bag. How do I do that? I trash them or whatever so I can get the better weapons, because I want to get all these ships out of the way so I can get that mothership. And then that mothership has certain requirements. I needed this weapon. I need to discard this one. Everything just really flows smoothly in this game. That's what I liked about it.
Yeah.
But yeah, Chris, I know you're not a solo gamer, but this one I really think this is the one for you, man. This is so good. Yeah. Okay. Let's go on to Richard. He's got number 4. Richard, take it away.
Okay, all right. What do we got next? Oh, Chris, Orleans. Of course, somebody had to put this on the list. It wasn't going to be me for reasons that will become clear in the post show. I'm not heck with it. I'll just say it right now. Orleans is great, but Altiplano, its sequel from the same publisher designer, the same idea of bag building, so improves on Orleans, destroys Orleans as far as I'm concerned. But I'll talk about that in the post show. I'm just going to say our number 6 is Orleans Altiplano. Again, because there really are sibling products, and it's just Altiplano is so much better. And if you want to know why, folks, you know what to do. Go check out the extended edition of the show where I'm going to give you a full top 10 bag builders. And, Warp's Edge. That is an excellent choice. Oh, man, I wish Scott Holmes had just done a tiny bit more work and come up with a way to turn that into a multiplayer game where we share control of the ship, and I'm trying to, my bag's full of some things and yours is full of others, and we're working together to take out the Armada. But still, an absolutely brilliant game and a must-have for solo players. Probably one of, heck, would it go into my top 10 solo games? It might. It's excellent. True solo games, I should say. Warp's Edge, very sharp. Okay, now let's go on to number 4 on my list, or our list, and this is a sad one. This is probably the most criminally overlooked game on the list today. Very few people have heard about it. I'm sure neither of you guys have. It is Gnomopolis, which is a bag builder from a South American publishing house, and it's so good. Although, if you look at what's on screen right now, you might say, wait a minute. Aren't those cups? Yes. For some reason, this game, actually, it is a bag builder, but instead of putting bags, they actually put little plastic coffee cups. So it's a cup builder. But strictly speaking, functionally it's the same thing. You could put your little meeples, colored meeples that represent different gnomes, in your little underground gnome village. You could have put them in bags instead of cups if you want. It's just, the game came with 4 colorful coffee cups for some reason. But anyway, it's a wonderful game. I know they've got an expansion in mind, and I've been hoping that sooner or later people would discover this game and there'd be more demand for it, or maybe they could get a bigger publisher. Publisher AEG, you do bag builders. Why don't you contact them? It's so good. But what is it? Okay, like I said, we are competing to be the best underground gnomish city. We've got all these different little colored gnomes, but a big part of this game is training your gnomes. You start with a bag or cup of junior gnomes, and there are a bunch of cards that we can draft that say, hey, if I've got this particular gnome, then I could train a junior gnome to be an engineer or a wizard or whatever. But I've got to get the combination of cards for the different types of training. I've got to draw the right types of gnomes out of my bag or cup to be able to run them. And that's really, really cool that it's not just a matter of just buying more stuff and throwing in your bag, but upgrading what is already in your bag that makes this stand out. But what's even cooler, I absolutely love the most is, hey, we're all friends. I mean, we're competing to be the best gnome, leader, but we'll help each other out because, let's see, maybe if a little bit later in the video you can see it. Over there on the left, there's that blue armadillo. The gnomes, right? One of the things you can do in this game when you've got gnomes and, I don't have the right card to be able to, train this gnome. I can put a gnome on a little meeple armadillo and it rides over to your village and gets training with your cards. And they didn't have to do this, but it's so wonderful and fun and charming. It is a blast as you level up, and there always are new generations of gnomes coming into the village. So you're constantly getting more low-level gnomes that, okay, well, now I've got to train these ones up, but I've already trained enough of this. Now I've got to switch and train in a different direction. It's very, very sharp. There's public objectives everybody's chasing after to get the right combination. It's neat. Again, criminally overlooked. Such a brilliant design. So much fun. Number 4 on our list, Gnomopolis.
Yeah, that Gnomopolis, I've never heard of this game, Richard, so thank you for putting on this list. I would totally want to play this game. It looks like my style of game. This is the type of game I would bring home that Michelle and I would probably enjoy. And just looking at it, just super cute. And the coffee cups. It's a coffee builder. I guess we can let that one slide as a bag
that's
builder.
the thing, right? Like, even though I do like when Richard agrees with me, he has to disagree with me. But also, are we allowing cup builders? Because we didn't do pool builders. Are we allowing cup builders? I don't know. It feels like there was a breach here. Feels like there was a breach, but I might let it slide because I haven't heard of Gnomopolis either, or whatever it was called.
Yeah, that's it.
And it looks really cool, and I like learning about exciting games, and that's
Yeah.
why you all tune in here as well. So for the sake of the audience, you know what? I'll let it slide. I'll
Thank you,
I'll
Chris.
allow it. I'll allow it.
Nice. Thank you, Chris. And why don't we move right along and get back on track with bag builders? Chris, you've got our number 3.
Well, this one definitely is a bag builder. And for those folks at home who don't know how we make these lists, we all kind of compile our own lists, and then we will take our top numbers and put them in. And if there's any sort of conflict, then one of ours will be bumped down. It's usually skewed towards who puts it on their list higher. So by me putting this as my number 1, I ensured that I got to be the one to talk about it because I knew that I was going to be on everybody else's list,
Yeah.
especially. And I did this as a shout out to Ray, for whom it might have been her number 1 as well. This is Quacks of Quedlinburg,
Of course,
which is
yes.
our number 3. And I wanted to lay claim to it as having put it on my list. And so I put it 100% as my number 1.
It's so good, yeah.
It just for that fact alone, but it needs to be on the list because it is fantastic. It's such a simple push your luck game. You're building a little bag, everybody pulls out something out of their bag, and then you choose to keep on pulling or you choose to stop, and you don't want to bust. If you get too many white chips drawn out of the bags, you will bust, and then you will not get your points and your money. You can get either or. And I think that's also a really fun thing because it's not so bad if you bust. You still have the ability to build your engine, or you still have the ability to get those points and hope that your engine goes off in the next one, right? It's just a heck of a lot of fun. You need the tokens. This is the only time I will say you need deluxeificated bits. I haven't even played with the basic ones, and I will never. I mean, I probably will. I need to get this. I need to get a copy of this.
I agree.
I'm excited to play this summer. Some people who are here in Nova Scotia have a copy, and I am really looking forward to playing this again. I need to get my own copy of everything. It's just so friggin' good. It's so simple. You pull a chip out. Did you bust or didn't you? But the abilities of the chips make it fun. The everything about it just makes it fun of just a very simple push your luck game. It has no right to be as fun as it is, but it is.
Yeah.
And I think what's hugely important, and I think this is really cool, is that you choose a random power for your chips beforehand, right? You have the ability to say like, oh, now the blue chips do this, or the blue chips do this. In the game that I played, the blue chips did the thing that I can only assume they're supremely overpowered because I didn't get any, and I lost abysmally. But yeah, it's a really great game, and if you haven't played it and you get the opportunity to try it, play it. If you like push your luck games, this is absolutely the one.
Yeah, I feel like this is the quintessential bag builder right here. You say bag building, this is the one you point to, and it had to be on this list. And you beat me by 1 slot. This was my number 2 on my personal list, so I knew one of us was going to talk about it. But yeah, and I think I feel like
I did
Ray,
that.
I feel like Ray was definitely going to put on her number 1, but it definitely had to be on this list. It's a wonderful game, and as you said, it shouldn't be as fun. I mean, it's just you reach in a bag, pull a chip, and that's it. But it is that tactile sensation. We talked about this a lot already. Actually, folks, we actually talked about this in the pre-show. We do a pre-show and a post-show live on Twitch, and you can click on the links below for the extended edition of the R&R show. But yeah, just the tactile sensation, and when you upgrade those, when you literally upgrade your bits to those geek bits or whatever, it does make the game that much better. It's just so fun to pull those, and you see that building your stirring your little pot, and hopefully you push your luck just enough to get the most points. I love this game, and I'm so glad you put it on here, Chris. Well deserved number 3, and actually it could have easily been number 1, 2, or 3.
It could have been number 1. Yeah. I'm glad. Honestly, 3 feels too low for it, but I am.
Yeah.
I think I know what your next one is, and I think this one was on my list, and so we had a little give and take here.
We did.
So why don't you tell us about our number 2?
Yeah, our number 2 actually borrows the bag building bit from Quacks of Quedlinburg. It is our number 2 from Druid City Games, Wonderland's War, and this is, oh my gosh, I am a new convert to how great this game is, Chris. I recently just played it. Seriously, let's see. We're filming this in June. I played this in May. So last month I played it for the first time. Oh, yeah. And I'd known the hype going in. And, as a fellow content creator, you're not totally oblivious to all the hype. But I was like, okay, we'll see how it plays. I was one turn into this game, was like, this is an all-timer for me. It is absolutely brilliant. It is set in the wonderful world of Alice in Wonderland, and this is Amy and Maggie's run through for the channel. And as you can see here, it's just a beautiful board and artwork by Manny Tremblay. And the game itself, you're there at the table and you're trying to pick an action to, you choose an action, and you have your player board, you have different abilities, it's asymmetric, and you're trying to level up your player board to do stuff, because ultimately what you want to do is go to the different areas on the board in this area control battle. And that blew me away. I was like, wait, it's bag building and area control? This is awesome. And so you're sending out your troops, right, to all the different spots, and all your different abilities factor into this game. So all of a sudden, you take Quacks of Quedlinburg. Hey, I'm just pulling stuff, yay. But now you're using area or the bag building for combat. I mean, it's brilliant. I absolutely love it. Gosh, what else can I say about this game? It's so much more beautiful in person. Like, it looks gorgeous here, but when I saw it in person, now granted, we were playing the deluxe edition with all the cool bits and whatnot, but boy, oh boy, it was one of the most beautiful looking table presents that I've ever seen in a board game. It is gorgeous. It's the gameplay, it's much smoother than I expected. I just figured with all this stuff going on, it was going clunky. I'd have to remember a ton of rules. No, it's pretty straightforward, but there's a ton of strategy because, oh, I know Chris is going to this spot. I want to go there too. But wait a second, he has this ability back on this spot, but I can use this. It's one of those things. It layers and upon layers of strategy and complexity. I absolutely love it. I was so pleasantly surprised, and it shot up to the top of my list. And then after I'd played it again, full disclosure, I just played it last month for the first time. It was on set. We did a video coming real soon to the Good Time Society channel, folks. And then I played it afterwards, off camera, off set. It confirmed everything I love about this game. It is an all-timer for me. Easily one of my top 25 games of all time now, and it's my favorite bag builder. It's number 2 on our list, Wonderland's War.
Did you play with the new factions?
I did. Yeah, we played with the expansion.
Nice.
Yeah.
With the smoke.
I got crushed. That's all I'm gonna say about the game.
Okay.
I didn't get crushed, folks. Go tune into the video that's coming out real soon on Good Time Society. But just to try the different abilities and the shards, the way the shards work are really cool. Like, those are negative points, right?
Yeah.
Oh, Chris, I was very, very pleasantly surprised. I was actually blown away by this game. It was so good.
This was my number 2.
Okay.
This was my number 2, and very well could have been it's battle quacks. You want to take all the joy of quacks and then you add in a battle. That's what a lot of people have referred to it as. It's really good. Again, I played it for the first time in February. I've only played it once, and I know that they have another campaign coming out. Because they have a little expansion, and I know some people who have been play testing with the prototypes and the new factions, and they're still trying to tweak them, etc. This is one that I don't feel like this is just conjecture, but they may not do the retail. It might just be the one deluxe edition, because in print runs they have, it's easier just to produce one thing instead of 2 things. It's just it just costs less money, and in terms of demand and whatever, this is one that I will very seriously consider backing, even though I know it will be expensive, because it was that good. It is really, really fun. I also thought it was going to be a bit convoluted too, with the 2 different phases. But once you get it under your belt a little bit, I played at the Level Up Gaming Retreat, and we had another table who was playing it next to us, and it was great because then when we had a rules question, we ran over and we're like, "Is this it? Okay, great," because we were learning it from the rule book essentially. But it was just it was really, really good, super fun. I love asymmetric abilities. It's bringing that to quacks and adding a battle element. Just a really great time that I'm gonna have to talk myself out of spending all that money. But I don't know if I want to. I don't know if I do. I think I want to own a copy of this because it was really good. It's a big table hog though, large table presence.
True. That's I'm glad you pointed that out, because people should know it is absolutely beautiful, but yes, it's huge. It is a huge game. The board is big, and especially I think, because the deluxe edition, it's all player mats. It's all the neoprene mats, so it's even bigger than the normal game. So you definitely need the table space for this, but I feel like it's worth it. It is so good. Yeah. Anyways, I'm gonna stop raving about Wonderland's War because we need to hear what Richard's got for our number
let's
one.
See what Richard's got.
Okay.
Yeah.
There you go, Richard.
Okay, coming down to the wire. Chris, Quacks, of course, somebody was going to put it on the list. I mean, honestly, Quacks of Quedlinburg is why we're doing this list. You probably already mentioned in the intro that when we did deck builders recently, Ray really wanted Quacks on the list, and I said, no! It's a deck builder, it's not a bag builder. And so, Ray, this one is for you. Although this one's not for me, because in all honesty, I'm going to buck the trend and say, yeah, Quacks was not for me and Jen. I did not keep the game. I did not like the way the push your luck was balanced. I felt it kind of incentivized the wrong stuff, and the payouts were all kinds of wacky. And again, I'm the only person in the world who thinks this. Everybody else loves it. If you want to know more, you can go watch my final thoughts. But yeah. I appreciate Quacks, but no, not for me. So, Chris, once again, we are at loggerheads. And Ruel, Wonderland's War. Man, this game looks so good. Amy and Maggie did a run-through for the channel, and they almost convinced me I should check it out. Again, bag building for, combat resolution. These aren't the only ones. I mean, Chris had one. Now Ruel's had one. I've got one, but we'll talk about that in the post show. And always a good thing. And man, such a gorgeous, gorgeous game. And it seems like the bag building is very, very impactful there. But there can be only one number one. And once again, I'm going to go for a lesser known title. You guys will have to let me know if you've heard of this. Probably not, but you should have, and everybody else should have too, because it's absolutely brilliant. It is Jiangnan, Life of Gentry. And this is actually set in the Ming Dynasty. It's from a Taiwanese designer, and it is freaking brilliant. Maybe, I think, the heaviest game we have talked about on the show today. This is another thing where we have a bag of chits this time. What have I had now? I've had meeples and I've had cubes, and now I'm pulling chits out of a bag. And the chits, every round, we draw 4 of them, and first come, first serve, we put them on our little board. This is a bag building / worker placement game. And like the first one I talked about, Meeples and Monsters, what I pull out of the bag tells me what workers I have. Or actually, more to the point, it tells me where can I send my workers. I might have the one that, I might pull, out of the bag, I pulled 2 chits that say I can go to the market this round, and one that says I can go to the walk the countryside and stuff like that. And but they are first come, first served. You lay them out, you put them on a board, and here's the tricky thing. When your turn comes around, you're going to pick one of the 4 chits you pulled out of the bag to send your workers out and do the various things you want to do. In this worker placement game, we are artists in the Ming Dynasty trying to make beautiful works of art, stage plays, poems, actual, paintings to fit the needs of the people. And the populace's favor of different types of art is constantly shifting throughout. And so we go to different places in Jiangnan for inspiration. And the chits say where we can go. But here's the tricky thing. Like I said, you lay them out from left to right. You pick one of those 4 chits, any of those chits, and that says where you can go, what you can do, what art you can create. But after you've done that, the chit that is furthest to the right, the first one you drew, that one gets discarded. Not just into a discard pile, but out of the bag. It gets destroyed. It gets trashed. It's gone. And so every round, you're getting new chits. At the end of the round, you're getting new chits. They're taken from the top of the bag, trying to get stronger. I really want to go to the market more. I need to get more market chits so I have a greater shot of going to the market. But every round, you're also getting rid of chits too. So the bag is in constant flux. But here's the other brilliant thing about this game. Each one of these chits, when you use one, it says, hey, where can I go? What worker placement action can I do? But there is a second resource on the chit, the bottom one. The chit that gets discarded and is removed from the game, you activate the bottom power of that chit. And what's really special, as a 2-player game, the bottom one says where you can send your other worker. Because in a 2-player game, it replicates a 4-player game by each player having 2 worker colors. So I choose the top action of the chit I choose, lets me go where I want to do. The bottom action of the chit that is discarded and removed from the board decides where my my other worker is going to go and basically blocks the board and, creates congestion and whatnot, like a good worker placement game. And this is freaking brilliant. It is such a smart idea. And this is just one of many ideas. I should also say that second worker is an area control element. So the chit you choose, that's your worker placement. The chit that gets discarded, that's your area control for these barges that are going through, which is like this whole extra scoring element. And it's so smart. Because the thing is, the chit is all the way to the right. I don't want to do that action right now, but I don't want that chit to go away. So do I do that action anyway, so it'll stay in my bag, and then the next one, the second chit I drew, is going to be my area control chit, and then it's going to go away. There is so much clever planning, all driven by bag building in this game, and it's absolutely freaking brilliant. And like I said, it deserves a lot more attention, like my previous one on the list. And yeah, it's really wonderfully thematic, a really sharp Euro design with, I've just mentioned one of many really cool mechanisms in the game. It's probably one of the most innovative games that have come out in recent years. And it's our number one bag builder on this combined list, Jiangnan, Life of Gentry. Back to you guys.
Yeah, Richard, I have not heard of this game, but boy, it looks really interesting. Once you got the whole, like, hey, this is bag building, but then you got the area control thing, worker placement, the different ways that the chits work, I'm definitely interested in this one. It looks really cool.
I remember this one. This one funded. I was looking it up while Richard was talking. This one funded back in 2022, at the beginning of 2022. It finished up in between February 22nd and March 1st. I was checking my list of my crowdfunding countdown list where I have all the campaigns, and it was and I remember I was like, was this my pick of the week? It was in the same week as an Unfair expansion, and it was also the same week as Rolling Heights and Astro Knights. So a couple of like really, and Reckland Run, speaking of Warp's Edge.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
A bunch of really like heavy hitters in that week. But I remember this. I remember the party boats that go down. The deluxe edition, you have like these little party boats. So you put your meeples on and activate stuff. I'm really thrilled that it resonated with Richard so much that it made number one.
Nice.
So look at that, Richard. We're not at odds anymore. We've come together. Number one. I'm thrilled. Thrilled.
Yes. And that's a perfect way to end the show right now. Thanks again for watching, folks. Be sure to click on the links below to find the extended edition. And hello, we are back. Wow, what a fun list. This is great.
It was a good list. Yeah.
Now, folks, this is the post show, and you're going to get our complete list now. And let's see, should we turn it back over to Richard?
We should always start with Richard so that we know how much time we have left.
we may not have time.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's turn it back to Richard right now.
Okay, Richard, what do you got for the rest of your list?
Okay, something tells me the guys aren't going to have very many to talk about in the post show, because I was told, hey, you got to come up with 4 because the other guys can only come up with 3 apiece. That's why we're doing a top 10 instead of a top 12. Well, folks, the R&R show is all about top 12s, so I'm going to give you a top 12 today here in the post show. 12 best bag builders, as far as I'm concerned anyway. Let's get to it. Starting with number 12, Dice Settlers from Designer Dave Turchy. This is a bag building 4X game. Explore, expand, exploit, and exterminate, driven by a bag full of wonderful, custom, colorful dice. And over the course of the game, you get the different colors of dice represent different things, and they are all about harvesting and exploring, and also sometimes fighting. The red dice in there, I think they were red, or maybe they were orange. Anyway, no, it's just any one of the dice. Most of the dice, depending on what you roll, some dice favor fighting, some dice favor exploring, but whatever you're going to pull out of that bag, you're then going to roll and see, the red dice didn't go my way. I guess I can't attack you. And honestly, the fact that there can be a fair bit of, look, we're just living in this new world is where, expanding and exploiting and exterminating and all that. But sometimes oh, the dice tell me I've got to kick you out and destroy your little settlement there and build it myself. Well, all right. That's what kept it out. I mean, this game, I liked it so much, I almost kept it in spite of the 4th X. And I gotta say, Chris and Ruel, I think you would both love this game. By the way, it's got a great solo mode, Ruel, so there's another reason to check it out. Number 12 on my personal bag building list, Dice Settlers. Then number 11, Arkham Horror, the card game. And people are saying, what? Oh, yeah, it is, isn't it? In the same way, what did Chris have? Was it a Trudvang Legends, right? The idea of, hey, you're building up a bag that helps you in combat because wherever you pull out is how you resolve stuff. We do the same thing here. Yes, it says to use a cup instead of a bag, but you can use a bag. And over the course of the game, instead of rolling dice to resolve our combat and other things that we run into in this Cthulhu cooperative, infinitely expandable adventure game, we pull these shits out of a cup, and the thing is, it's a shared cup. We're both contributing to it. It's one bag that everybody shares responsibility for, and when we run into trouble, we pull stuff out of the bag and hope. We try to form that bag and bend it to our will so it's full of just good results, and we get rid of as many bad results as possible. Totally a bag builder, but really unique in that everybody shares a common bag that we're building. What is it? Arkham Horror, the card game. Then, has anybody besides me played Lord of the Rings, the dice building game? Probably not, and I don't know why. This was a follow-up to Quarriors, which for a time was a very, very popular bag building series where you have dice and players would just duel and battle each. Hey, let's take this idea, turn it into a cooperative game, and set it in Tolkien's Middle-earth as we try to destroy the One Ring. And it's always scary when you roll the ring on the dice that you pull out of the bag. Beautiful dice, really, really clever stuff, a lot of setup variability. In kind of the same way I was talking about automobiles, that, hey, there's the same dice are available every time, but every time you play, depending on the cars that you set up, the dice have different functions if they're weapons or characters or whatever. Really sharp game, a lot of fun. It was not perfect. It had some weird issues with its kind of, it's kind of co-op, it's kind of semi-co-op, and honestly, I mean, it could have been done a little bit better. That's what keeps it out of the higher realms, but still, a wonderful early example of the form, I think before Orleans came out, right, is Lord of the Rings, the dice building game. Then number 9 is Lions of Lydia, a super sharp bag builder, set in the time when humanity was making the transition from all economy being barter based to actually introducing the idea of money and a monetary system. We're living through that in this game. There's a central market bazaar. I think Lydia, or the lions are, the coins have the lion stamped on them. So the Lions of Lydia are the coins of Lydia when we first developed as a human species the idea of money. And so smart play is making the transition from barter in the earlier game to using money in the later game. And it's all driven by bag building. A bag full of colorful meeples that when you draw them, that indicates what sections of the market you have access to. And if you really want to focus on this section, well, you better get more green meeples or you better get more white meeples because otherwise you're just going to be on the wrong part of town. Sharp bag builder, sharp game. One of designer Johnny Pack's lesser known titles, but still excellent. Number 9. Was it my number 9? I've lost track already. But Lions of Lydia. Then my number 8 is Orleans. Of course, we already talked about it. And here's the deal. Orleans deserves so much praise for really popularizing, even if it didn't invent the idea of bag building, but it's got problems. It is not perfect. My ranking for this is based mostly on the expansions that have come out over time. But if the base game, I have a couple of problems. And you know what? I'm not even going to talk about them now. I'll wait until a little bit later and I'll circle back. But still, Orleans deserves it. I love the cooperative invasion. I just got the Plague expansion the other day. I mean, it's certainly a popular game. If it's still getting expansions, what? 10 years later, it's still getting expansions. So it stood the test of time, and deservedly so. But I'll come back to my problems with it a little bit later. Alrighty, then my number 7 is Mercado. Another mercantile game. Actually, this is bag building combined with auctions, where you've got a bag full of coins that represent different types of currency. And you pull stuff out of the bag at the start of a round, and that says, all right, well, I've got some blue currency, I've got some white currency, and we're doing auctions for all these different artifacts on the board. But the artifacts say what they need to be bid on. Oh, to bid on this, I need blue and yellow coins, and I didn't pull any, but that's the artifact I want. Okay, what am I going to bid on instead? And who's going to be the first to get the stuff out of the bag to be able to win these things? It's very, very sharp. Really kind of a slow burn auction. I mean, it's really unique. There's nothing else quite like it out there. And another thing I love is, okay, I pulled the things, I could win this artifact, but I don't want to win it right now. I don't want to win it, even if it means you bid on it too, and I could take it away from you right now because it's hard an auction game. The thing is, the victory point track is interesting too because you want to hit specific spots. Sometimes you'll be like, okay, I could get this artifact and I'll score 8 points. But I need to score 5 points because if I score 8 points, I'll skip over the spot on the victory point track I want to hit to get that bonus because that's how you build your deck. That's how you get more coins by hitting certain spots and so it's really sharp. An idea borrowed from Reiner Knizia's Carcassonne the Castle, which is the greatest version of Carcassonne that ever came out, by the way, as an aside, not that it's a bag builder. Anyway, Mercado from Design Superstar, one of the all-time greats, Rudiger Dorn, definitely worth people's time. Everybody's so cuckoo for Istanbul, but I'll take Mercado any day if you want to play some Dorn with me. Okay, then we've got number 6, Resurgence from, as far as I'm concerned anyway, Design Superstar Stan Kordonsky. He just continues to knock it out of the park game after game. What's interesting about this is this was him being brave, not publishing with somebody else, but self-publishing. It's only just now. Or no, didn't it come out a while ago? Or I know it was delayed because of COVID and all that. But anyway, long story short, it's an excellent bag builder worker placer fusion where you got, in post-apocalypse Russia after nuclear fallout, and you got zombies and roving mutant dogs and that kind of stuff. And you're doing worker placement stuff, trying to build up your society of survivors and all of that. And in your bag, you've got chips that represent different types of workers, engineers and lieutenants and stuff like that. And you pull out, I think every round we draw 4 chips from the bag, if I recall correctly. And those chips determine, well, okay, with this character, I could go to that space, that space, that space, or that space. And you have no engineers. Interesting, and I do. So I know you can't go there. So I know I can get to that space if I want. But we both have leaders. Are you going to go there with your leader, or are you going to go there with your leader? Because here's the thing. After everybody draws and everybody looks to see what everybody else has, it shields up. We put up player shields. And then in secret, we decide where our workers are going to go. And I'm having a double, triple guess right. Oh, you had a leader. Are you going to take that space? No, there's no reason you take that space, so I should go there. But I know if you go there, you'll get first dibs on it before me, and what to do? I love simultaneous worker placement, a design I would love to see in more games. Some of my favorites of all time, like Fresco and Dungeon Pets, do it, and Resurgence does it, and it's brilliant. And if all that weren't enough, it's a great bag builder. As you get stronger, or you get more and more chips that represent the different types of workers you need, soldiers to protect yourself, all kinds of stuff, throw them in the bag. But then, what does that bag give you? What did it give me? And how am I going to navigate that? It's excellent. Then we've talked about, number 5, Meeples and Monsters. Number 4, Automobiles. Number 3, Gnomopolis. Number 2, Jiangnan. But my personal number 1, which I left off the list because I talked about it in the official list, but really, Altiplano, as far as I'm concerned, is the greatest bag builder of all time. And let me tell you, it's basically from Reiner Stockhausen and DLP Games, the same designer, publisher as Orleans. And as far as I'm concerned, it fixes Orleans. There's no denying Orleans isn't still great, and it's got so many expansions. Altiplano has only gotten 1 expansion, although it's a must-have expansion, quite frankly. But Altiplano does 2 things right that Orleans does wrong. Variable setup. With Orleans, imagine every time you play Dominion, the deck builder, it's always the same deck of cards. No variability. It's the same every time. That's Orleans. I don't understand why they didn't do something, especially as more expansions came out, to ensure that, there's a different combination of buildings that's going to make the game feel different. It's a different puzzle to solve. Nope, Orleans says you might as well play Dominion with the same 10 stack of cards every single time you play, and that's always driven me nuts. Altiplano fixes that. As you are we llama farmers? Either llama or alpaca. I'd have to scroll down and look. But anyway, in the highlands of Peru, we are raising livestock and doing bag building, very, very similar to Orleans, but much, much better. Really cool, interesting scoring system and all that. But the other thing that Orleans does right that Orleans does wrong that Altiplano does right is in Orleans. Again, imagine playing Dominion. Here's Orleans' experience in a bag builder form. Imagine playing Dominion, but it's always the same collection of cards every time, no matter what. No variability there. And every time you play a hand of cards and you're done, the cards don't go into the discard pile. They just get shuffled back into the deck. And you know what? Just through bad luck, you just took 5 turns in a row because you're constantly reshuffling the deck and not going through the entire deck. You never get to that really, really high, powerful card you want. That happens in Orleans. I bought that. I invested heavy to get that monk early in the game, and it's halfway through the game, and that monk is still hiding in the bag. That's a criminal mistake in the design of Orleans. I mean, and it's a testament to how good the rest of Orleans is that it's so popular. Altiplano fixes that. When you pull stuff out of the bag and use them in kind of Orleans just kind of ways in Altiplano, although again, it is really its own game. It just has kind of the same core DNA. But important thing is you take those chits and you put them in a discard pile, and you do not put that stuff back in the bag until the bag is empty. So you will guaranteed use all those chips you worked so hard to get into that bag. It is an implicitly better bag builder than its predecessor. And as far as I'm concerned, it's the best one of all time. That's with the expansion. So if I had one problem about base Orleans, it's a long one. That's a lie. 60 minutes. Again, I couldn't play this game in 60 minutes. But the expansion introduced kind of like an express speed up variant that gets it closer to 60 minutes for me in general. Even still, with the express game, it's a 90 plus minute game for us. But it's 90 minutes that just fly by because it's so much fun. The greatest bag builder of all time to date anyway, as far as I'm concerned anyway, Altiplano. Okay, back to you guys.
Okay, and we're out of time.
We can go a little bit. I got a little bit more. Yeah. I'm thrilled with Richard's list.
Yeah.
Although he shaded us being like they didn't have enough. I mean, we just had a lot of crossover. I feel
That's
was
the
the
thing.
Like
Yeah.
automobiles was also on my list.
Yep.
And quite a few that Richard put are ones that I'm like, yeah, I know that'll be good, but I haven't yet tried. I know Altiplano was on your list. You said it was number 6.
Yep.
I think when we were chatting.
Yep.
Yeah,
Altiplano's great.
Yeah, I had Automobiles. I had Wonderland's War. There was another one that Richard put on. Resurgence I haven't played, but like I can imagine playing.
Yeah.
I do want to talk about his Altiplano though, like Orleans comparison.
Okay.
I do love that he brought up it's a solvable game. I'm like I also felt that.
Right?
I really did feel that. And then when you do like there is the possibility to branch out, but you can fall into that trap for sure, right? Yeah. And I am also the type of gamer who could fall into that trap if I hadn't put those self-imposed restrictions upon myself. So even like I love variability, and I can't complain when a game gives me variability. Yeah. But I just thought that was a funny, funny comparison.
It was like the perfect comparison.
Yeah, because I'd addressed it at that bit previously.
Yeah, and he forgot to mention the coolest thing is he got the big old llama like first player token. It's like this little cardboard llama, which I love. I enjoyed Altiplano was also on my list, as we mentioned. Dice Settlers was on my list as well. It didn't go higher on it because I do like 4X games, but I don't know what it was about Dice Settlers. It felt a little clunky to me. That's all I remember because when we played, there was a couple of moments where I thought they dragged a little bit in the game. But again, it's been a while since I played. Maybe we played it wrong. Who knows? I actually had automobiles on my list as well at the very bottom of my list. But I was like, it's a bag builder. And even though it wasn't for me because of my vision issues, I still thought it was a brilliant game. It was, just I couldn't play it. Warchest on mine, of course. Warp's Edge, Quacks, and Wonderland's War. Yeah, those are all the games on my list. So,
have you played Coffee Roaster, Ruel? I assume not, or else it probably would have made it.
I've heard nothing but great things about it too, and I thought it might make this list. I thought you or Richard might have it on there, but I haven't played it yet.
Yeah, I haven't played it either. I think Stacy who was talking in the comments.
Oh, okay,
about it during the show.
Okay.
Maybe I'm just scrolling up to see if I see.
Yep. Stacey Everdell does confirm they love Coffee Roaster.
Yeah, awesome. Because I know, but again, it's a solo game, so I'm probably not gonna.
Yeah.
I think it's just solo, right?
Yeah. I believe so. Yeah, but that one I definitely want to give a shot. I mean, I love coffee and I love solo games, so it should be my jam.
I think there's a cool distinction in Altiplano versus Orleans too about that idea of using your stuff, and I kind of like that Orleans doesn't let you cycle through everything. I think that is also where the replayability comes in terms of like pushing your luck or what do you draw and whether or not you enjoy that randomness. It will be, I think, a key factor. But I think because you can also leave workers on your board. So you can strategically put the workers on the board so that you do pull out the things that you need, so that you kind of beg management in a sense of
Yeah.
like, okay, if I do want to guarantee that draw, I have to set myself up for these turns which I activate, which I think is also a neat distinction that Richard brings up, but
Yeah.
one that doesn't necessarily ring as a huge negative for me. Although I've heard again great things about Altiplano,
Yeah.
and it being really fun, and it's something that I want to try for sure. Like
Yeah.
I
It's
yeah.
it's a terrific game, and Richard did mention the time length on this. I felt Altiplano did drag a little bit as well, though, so that's something to consider. It's not a short game by any means, but it was really fun the times I played it.
Yeah.
Um, I think that's gonna do it. Yeah, we're about out of
Yeah.
time here, Chris. Why don't we start a raid? Any final comments before we get out of here?
No, thanks, chat. It was really lovely hanging out with you all. I thoroughly enjoyed chatting and hearing you all talking during the stream. It was great. It
Yeah.
gave me something to listen to other than Richard's videos. So,
Exactly. Thank you, chat. I'm going to start the raid now. Be sure to stick around because you get extra Rahdo points. You can spend that here. And take care, folks. Have a good time. I'll be back next week with a From the Vault episode, I believe. And then Ray will be back in a week or two. She's super busy with Gen Con prep and whatnot. But thank you again, folks. Here comes the raid. Have a wonderful week. We'll talk to you later. So long. Bye-bye.
bye.
And we have raided.